I've gone to. As Muslims, we are allowed to visit the grave to remind ourselves about death.
Okay.
So both Christians and Muslims are buried next to each other.
Right.
But every grave has one person. So you cannot think as Christians. You cannot think as warriors. You think as an individual. This is wrong. This is right. So the mischief and the mismatch is the leaders are dishonest.
Okay.
And dishonesty brings mediocrity.
Okay.
Mediocrity brings illusion of power, which President Ruto has. You see, Kenyans can do without Ruto,
yes,
but Ruto cannot do without Kenyans because we pay his salary.
All right.
We give him like 2-point-something million. All those chase cars are taxpayers' money. Can Uhuru today attend Addis Ababa?
Like yesterday, he was going to the airport. That's
Yes.
the president.
Yes.
I remember the traffic jam on Mombasa Road.
Yes, it's stupidity.
Yeah.
Kwani Ruto ni nani? Sio chicken seller alitoka Sigoi. So now he's the son of Jesus.
Yes.
He's being protected from whom?
And mind you, he used the expressway.
Yes.
But the exit at JKIA ilifungwa and the entrance in town ilifungwa pia.
It's a character thing. You see, knowledge means you've either read, you've gone to school, you have been taught, you've gone through a system. That's knowledge. Character is reflection.
Okay.
Because some people say so and so has this weakness, so and so has this strength. No, I told them there is nothing like weakness or strength. There is character and attributes. This guy is mean. He decided to be mean. I'm mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you tell me like now, 1 or 2 times we help people, like me and my wife, we contribute some money for school fees. But we ask for the report from first. I'm not going to give you 100,000 if you're scoring E. Go become a plumber. Yeah, don't waste money. If you're getting E, the essence of going to high school is to get above C plus to go to university. At least get above D plus so that you go to a technical school. If you're getting E's, you're not doing the right thing that was supposed to be done there. So go you don't need an A to be a mechanic, a plumber, or these things. So when we take the report form, if you have scored above D plus, we pay the money to the school.
Okay.
And then you come and get the slip.
All right.
Or we even send it to the teacher and they'll go to school. So a man's life is reflective. You need to reflect. Like when you called me, I was already preparing myself psychologically that the show is at 7. So at least you should be there 10 minutes before. You see, because the show is waiting for me. The pictures has been done. What if I put off my phone? I put off my phone.
People have done it.
You see, it's a weakness. Tell people. He knows when I say I'm not coming.
There's something I want you to talk about, Abdullah.
Yes.
Northern Kenya as a breadbasket for the country. I am actually very interested.
You're interested in that?
I am, and I'm sure the whole country is, because
yes,
there's always talk in this country about food security. Yes. And people look to Kitale and that region.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So when you say the northern part of this country can feed the rest of the
entire country.
Yes. Let's start with, is the northern part of the country, does it produce enough food for the people of the northern part of the country? Let's start there. And if not, why don't they?
Like my family, we produce our own food, which is okay.
Yes, you do.
But now there is a process that is involved. One, there is a skill mismatch. I am not farming like my granddad, and I'm not farming like my dad.
Yes.
We put processes and mechanisms in place. There are people who are producing. There are private investors, like in Banissa. Maybe one day we will go there. Banissa, there are people who invested like 10 million. They have farms. They have dams.
Where is Banissa?
Banissa is in Mandera County. It's a sub-county that we are going to have a by-election where the member died, yes. So Banissa sub-county and Takaba and Mandera North, there are people who did private investment.
Yes.
Of 100 acres, 200 acres. These guys are reaping. They're selling food to WFP. They're selling mangoes and pawpaws and get onions. Do you know Mandera was transporting onions to South Sudan in 2013 when we only invested 200 million?
I did not know.
Yeah, you see. So what is the process of producing maize? I produced one of the best maize in Mandera in 2022. Why? I got the seed from a friend in Mwea because I never wanted to plant the local maize. But now I did a research, but I also went to agriculture extension. So I got some advice, even though I was a farmer. So the problem is the spacing. If you want to get good food, First of all, there is no investment from the national government. Zero. Nothing.
But what about the monies that the county governments are getting? Because I'm sure some of it tukitoa ile ya development, which bado haifikangi the 35% that is required by law. So the other monies that are directed to agriculture, what happens to those
there
monies?
Is not even money. You know, I was telling even the governor of Mandera, allocate 5% of the total budget. Mandera is getting 14.16 billion this year.
Okay.
Now, you see, if you're a surgeon, you know what to do. If you're a nurse, you know what to do. If you're neither, and then you want to inject somebody, you don't know. The problem is the people in charge of these counties, to be honest, are either dishonest or have no clue of what development is.
Okay.
Now, if you think salary is development, if you think investing money in health, education,
Roads.
water and roads is development, you are sick. I'll tell you why.
So what is development then?
What development means, when Abdullah Al's family can eat healthy food,
Yes.
and they can go to school.
Okay.
This is development. Meaning, later, people have money in their pockets. People have choices. People have choices.
Yes.
That's development. How does that come? Now, health, water, roads and education. First, investment in education is a long-term investment. Because what Ruto is grappling with is the policies of Kibaki. That's from 2002.
Yes. This whole free primary education debacle.
The free education came on January 2018. But now free education for everybody. Now, from 2002 to 2007 to 2030, that was 10 years. Now, that 10 years, people, when Kibaki was leaving, the guy who was at pre-unit or PP1 or class 1 has finished primary. He was going to secondary for free. He was going to high school for free. Now, once you go to primary and secondary for free and you have what to eat, the product is already seen today. Ruto does not know how to handle them. Because you finish Form 4, you finish university, you are a tech guy, you don't need to be employed. You are a doctor, you have already gotten a private job. Certainly people are. So what needs to happen is this for development in the north. I told them, can we have a conference? We Somalis are very entrepreneurial. We are close to 30 million across the world, from Jigjiga to Djibouti to Hargeisa, Mogadishu, and then here in Nairobi. They can do a PP investment, private, partnership with some of the investors. I told them, we will do the concept note for you. For us, like me, I'm going to manage the project from A to Z. I only need 15% of the administration. The people who produce food don't wear suits. They wear gumboots.
And aprons.
So I'm going to stay there until I see the process through. You just pay us the administrative cost. So what you do is now create irrigations. If we are supposed to harvest water, I'm going to write a concept note, 18 pages, to the Dutch embassy. Why? They are the best in water management. But they hate corruption. Because the Dutch government will not forgive them. What do? You tell them, you go and meet the ambassador and tell him, you guys have an expertise of water management. We want to harvest water. There is water that's just pouring into the Indian Ocean. We want to harvest it. Dams, mega dams, and then we harvest it. We can have several of them. Northeastern is the largest part of this country. You harvest water. Where the water cannot be harvested, we now drill boreholes. And then we do drip, sprinklers, and piping with solar. Northeastern doesn't need electricity.
Yes.
We have solar and wind. Both. Now, if the people in charge of the government have not prepared themselves for the leadership, they're just there guessing. Because an idea does not come from knowledge. An idea does not come from books. An idea comes from what you have learnt, from what you're going through, and then you come up with how to resolve this problem. I was telling CT, when I did the sample farm in my village, where there are around 2,000 households, malnutrition has reduced by 60%. Why? The model farm, people used to come. And when I was coming and going with my dad, I was told he is mad, he has lost a job, amekuja kulima shamba. Because I don't expect them to understand what I'm doing because I left that village 20 years ago.
Okay.
But now they're beginning to understand.
But now my dad was talking to me the other day. So what we did is I told them the most difficult part of farming is not the harvesting. It's the planning and the cultivation. So we invested in the cultivation. I was using a traditional oxen. We had compost manure prepared among ourselves. Then there was the spacing, there was the spraying, there was the watering, there was the guarding. A small 10, half of 10 acres, 5 acres was producing like 40 kgs of skuma every week.
10 acres, you said?
Half of it. Because
so
half was maize and beans,
yeah.
Then half was vegetables. So nyanya ile ndogo ndogo kubwa kubwa, all these things. So when they came, I told them, whether I'm mad or not, I was mad when I left this village 20 years ago. I'm not mad now. The people who remained here are mad. Not me.
So now to answer CT's question, and I think part of the what he asked,
we need a budget and a technical team. That's it. It's not the governors who produce food.
Right.
The professors in University of Nairobi or us here, the food we eat are produced in Western.
Right.
Central.
Yeah.
How many PhDs do they have? The guys who produce the maize.
All right.
You see,
I don't have the stats.
Yeah, you see, now that's the thing I'm saying.
He's telling us you don't need a PhD to produce.
Yes, you don't need to.
I get the gist.
Yes.
So we are saying that given the right resources and the right attention.
No, the right leadership. Twende huko juu. I told CT in another program the other time with Eric, if the father is a drunkard and the mother is a prostitute and you expect to raise a saint, maybe your miracles are going to be performed by Jesus. Yes.
Abdullah, there's something here.
Yeah.
Why I'm stuck on this story is this.
Yeah. I get it.
One of the reasons why a people's way of life changes conclusively. Let me preamble it.
Yeah.
A lot of discussions around business and understanding business models revolve around books that have been written by people in the West. The Kenyans were writing about it and how it is they talk and they try to get people to understand how business is done. We talk of the Chinese model and how it is they removed 30 million plus people out of poverty.
In less than 50 years.
Yes, but what we don't talk about is a miracle that we see here. How did the community that were predominantly camel herders, how did they suddenly become a commercial powerhouse? They're now becoming an industrial powerhouse. They are becoming a powerhouse in almost every aspect of the economy.
Health.
How do you, that movement and that change is not spoken of, and yet we have our own local miracle that has taken place that people should be studying and discussing in the university.
Yeah.
The disciplines that teach these things should be saying there is a community in this country called the Warrior.
Musonjos.
This is what they are now, and this is what they were. Not the last century, just a couple of decades ago.
20 years ago.
How did this happen? You can go back and say at independence, business was conducted by Kenyans of Asian origin,
and
some
Central
by
Kenya.
the Central Kenya people were the first indigenous people that we saw going into business.
Yeah.
But the model that the Kenyan of Asian origin used was they were everywhere in the country, found them in remote places. Kikuyus started doing the same thing, but nobody has done it like the Somalis of Kenya. You find them in Remba Island, you find them in Ringiti, I'm taking you far. You find them in Migori, you find them in literally all over the country, to the point where they're now indigenous to those places where they go there and they settle and that's it. Wako. This is something that is homegrown and it's now being exported, meaning it's a model that works. If you want to import something into this country, they're clearing and forwarding agents and people who do this sort of work, again Kenyans from northeastern province who do this thing seamlessly and cheaper than almost anybody.
Yes.
And they bring it to your doorstep. I'm simply, why am I giving this model and why am I belaboring the point?
Yeah.
They're now going into something that the northern part of Kenya was never associated with. It's called agriculture. If I look at the successes they've made in the commercial field, that is going to be a success. I don't even need to rethink it. I just need to look at the trajectory. Now, that is the background that I'm giving. So when I ask, it's because you become a powerhouse when you have food security within your local boundaries, when you can feed yourself.
Yeah.
Once you can feed yourself,
Yes.
there is very little you cannot do, because you're not dependent on people, others, to give you what gives you life.
Yes. And that is so because there is a culture.
All right.
The Somalis, from my grandfather, that's 115 years ago, we're a bit created different. Different in the sense that we have the mentality of the camel herding.
Okay.
And I told you the camel herding mentality is risk taking. As long as there is grazing land for your animals, you take them there. Who owns it is a discussion that will come later.
You'll deal with when you get there.
Okay, so that's why Kambas are fighting us in these Ukambani areas. Camel, they need food. Hizi stories zingine zote ni baadaye. You take it there, they graze, washibe, ukitaka kunipiga ni sawa. Lakini ngamia imeshiba.
Imekula imeshiba.
Imekula imeshiba.
All right. I want to go back to that.
And I want to finish. There's a trust. We don't do a lot of paperwork. The problem with other Kenyans is they have not domesticated international thinking to local thinking.
Okay.
There is no way, and I tell people everywhere, there is no way IMF, World Bank, and UN model is going to help us. Because in the first place, when they were established in 1940 something, we were not there. So how do you think a man would help you when he did not even allow you to meet him? He is not. The West is here for its interest.
Okay.
They're using, but the way colonial has not ended. They only left with the guns and came back with softwares and pens. KRA today, America takes its softwares. They are zero. What do they have? So instead of broader thinking, why do you think the Chinese are beating the Americans everywhere now? Because what they did in the last 50, 60 years.
Homegrown solutions.
No, when they were employing even people for the provinces, every province they took the best person. There was meritocracy. So in that provinces, they now developed 5 years time is 40 years things to be achieved.
Yeah.
China is now frustrating the West. Why? They have created this. I don't like them. I'll prefer the European model of doing things. Like if I was to do a train, I would have either gone to Norway, which I'm going next Monday, or Holland. Why? The standards of life and the standard of doing things, Europeans they might be expensive,
right?
But this SGR, when I see people celebrating the SGR, it shows you most Kenyans have not traveled.
They're not exposed.
They have not seen other trains. China, people are taking 1,000, 2,000 kilometers in less than 20 minutes. So currently, if you go to Gatwick Airport in Oslo to town, it's 23 minutes. It's like 1,000 Kenya shillings. And you know, there is something missing in this country from 63. Human dignity. Valuing people. Kenyatta did business with us, he never valued anyone.
Yep.
Moi was the same. This one is the same. Why? When you value people, you see the train.
Yes.
You make sure every Kenyan is comfortable and proud. When you sit, you know your taxes is doing money. You're not. Have you seen these matatus from Isli? Have you ever boarded those?
Yes, I have. Yes,
have you seen the way we sit?
Yeah.
Those trains in Norway, you might get the whole train going for 23 minutes, and they're only less than 50 people. Maybe the train is 200-seater. They don't give a heck whether there is 2,000 people or one person. Now, I was told, my son was just telling me, yes, he's in Oslo.
Okay.
He was telling me that now, you know, we have developed something. He's a Norwegian, Somali. He tells me now, if it rains in Norway and you stand in the zebra crossing, you're not allowed to stand more than 20 seconds.
Why?
The zebra crossing has signals that will stop the train, the bus, and the truck until you cross.
Okay. So you're for safety?
You're not allowed to stand in the train, in the rain. That is how.
So it starts raining, these things go on, and
Immediately it's activated. It's automatically activated by the rain. So any human being who steps on them, 20 seconds, the train will stop, the bus will stop, the tram will stop, the car will stop. Why? Because the light there becomes green. And then everyone will stop.
And then you cross.
And then you cross. And then everything continues. Why? Everyone respects the other person.
If we look at Norway is a monarchy, but if we take it now back to Kenya,
A constitutional monarchy.
It's a constitutional
yes.
monarchy.
But the point here is, when we come to our own constitution here and
Yes.
our own system of governance and our
Yes.
own presidency and so on and so forth, why aren't we able to achieve all that? And I'll tie it
The
back.
top.
And I'll tie it back to our politics, our elections. Like right now, we're waiting to do by-elections. Are we even ready for by-elections in, like you said, Banissa and other places where we're waiting to elect
There
MCAs?
is nothing wrong with the constitution of Kenya.
And the reason I'm asking is,
I know.
if we are ready, is because number one, have we identified? Do you think the people of Banissa, kwa mfano, wame identify?
You're not getting what I'm saying.
Yes.
If we get a president who knows what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
not a person who thinks he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't know.
Right.
There's a difference between thinking you know and knowing.
Okay.
A leader is an action-oriented person. A leader is a doer. When I was privileged to be head boy in both Mandela Secondary School and in Wajir High School.
Okay.
When I was in Mandela Secondary School, Form 4s were number one always. Monday to Friday. In the food eating in the dining hall.
Yes.
They were all number one.
So that they can go back to class and study.
Yes. But I said everyone pays fees. So I rearranged the whole. I told them, I'm not going to take you to number 4, but at least you must go at least 2 days to number 3, 2 days to number 2, and 2 days to number 1.
Okay.
Why? We are all human beings. That's what I did. The backlash I received was because I already as a camel ladder, you're always instinctively lazima ufikirie what will they do. So I removed the books from my desk. So walimwaga maji, wakaleta mafi, kwa mattress yangu walimwaga vitu when I'm away.
Yeah.
Because there is always people who do not want the status quo to be touched. In Wajir High School when I came, the mosque had problems. I asked people, this mosque has issues, we have money, why don't you build it? They said we have collected money for the last 3 years. That is in 204, 203, 202. Pesa ilikulwa. Nilisimama pale nikasema pesa mimi siwezi kula. Leteni. Started today, you give me the money in a week, I'm going to build it in 2 weeks. 1 week I got 15,000.
Okay.
And these are kids, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, 14-year-old, 17-year-old. They brought the money. When they brought the money, I took the money to Parida and told them, we have 15,000. We need 100 youth because we were 800.
Okay.
We need koroga, we need sand, we need labor, we need people to bring water. Our watchman is already a mason, so he will help us. So we don't need anything from outside. We built it in 2 weeks. You need to fix things. How do you do that? You fix it because you know it needs to be fixed and you know how to fix it. By-elections are around 22, 6 members of parliament, a senator, 15 MCS. Politics is part of life. Kindly Google for us the political illiterate. I always remind people, politics, could you please Google for us the political illiterate? So, politics is life. What is politics? Is everything we do every day in our parties, in our schools, if you are not a good politician at home, your kids and your wife will have issues with you. You need to be a very good human being who can play politics.
Yeah. So the worst illiterate is.
Can you read it for us? Here, number 1.
By Balt.
Yeah, he's a German poet.
So this is what
Alas, yes.
The worst illiterate is the political illiterate. He doesn't hear, doesn't speak, nor participates in the political events. He doesn't know the cost of life, the price of the bean, of the fish rather, of the flour, of the rent, of the shoes, and of the medicine. All depends on political decisions. The political illiterate. The political illiterate is so stupid that he is proud and swells his chest, saying that he hates politics. The imbecile doesn't know that from his political ignorance is born the prostitute, the abandoned child, and the worst thieves of all, the bad politician, corrupted and flunky of the national and multinational companies.
That's why God created almost 58 million Kenyans in this country. Everybody plays a role. This morning I just passed by the market. That market in Church Onjiru.
Okay.
What is
Wakulima market.
Yes. Maritini or
Marikiti.
No,
Marikiti.
Yeah, Marikiti.
Wakulima market.
Yes, Wakulima market.
Yes.
The people who are the backbone of this country are those mothers. The people who are the backbone of this country are those producers from Nyanza, Western, Mandera, Wajir, who are producing, not the politicians. The politicians are the beneficiary of a system. This country is held by Kenyans. They pay tax, they work their ass off, they take kids to school. I'm a product of a society. You know, someone told me, you know, I'm self-made. I told him, you are very stupid.
When he told you that he's self-made.
Yeah, I told him, you are very stupid. How many friends did you eat their homes from? Their mothers who cooked those food.
Yeah.
How many people took you to hospital? How many visited you? How many paid your school fees? How many give you a sleepover when you had no place to sleep? We are up. That's why in Africa, what did a man of the people, Nani Chenua Achebe? In Africa, a child is raised by a village. Why? How many people bought you clothes? How many bought you, give you ticket? You are a product of other human beings. Hakuna mtu anaitwa self-made. We were helped in one way or another. Today, I'm proud to say that John Joroge, my teacher of English literature, was one of the boys who told me, you have anger issues. Stop it. Do you think the world cares about you? You have potential, young man. Because I was the top 3 in English lit. I used to get like 16 out of 20 in poetry, 68 out of 80. I was not a math or science guy. You see, I'm the guy who used to buy 10 shillings of Whispers. Ile magazeti wanauza kama duka.
Yes.
There was no library. Kinoti Agostino Kiogora taught us in Form 3 and Form 4. Up to today, we are friends. I went to his wedding 2008 in Kahawa. I was wearing a kanzu and Kikuyu's like, Neke, what's wrong with this warrior hapa? I was dancing to the Kikuyu tune. Why? Another human being gave me, Njoroge fed me from his home. So we are a product of a society.
Okay.
So the country is a political entity by itself. Institutions are product of politics. Parliament is chapter 8. You know, the executive is chapter 9. So these are product. How long did it take for us to get this constitution? I mean, from 92 we have been fighting. That was a political process. So by-elections should not be. I do not come from the school of thought. Just because you disagree with me, I disagree with you, we should hurl insult. No. That's why we don't dress. Look at 3 of us. We came from a house. We are not dressed the same. We are human beings with opinions and perspective. So we can be decent enough to say, look, wewe enda by election yako. Chapa kazi. Ukinishinda, ugwe, good.
Najua unataka kiti cha umedecide whether it's Mandera North or East.
Bado kuna a lot of back and forth. Inaweza kuwa ni Nairobi, inaweza kuwa ni nominations.
Nairobi is now in the ballot.
Yeah, tunaitwa, unajua watu wanatusport hapa.
It's called keeping your options open.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the last time he was here, he said he's not sure whether he's going to do Mandera North or Mandera
East.
Right?
Yes.
Now
Nairobi imekuja, hata senator watu wamesema tunaitwa.
Uko tayari for 2027.
Yes.
And the reason I'm asking this is because we know what is happening in the country. We've seen recent mandamanos from last year till this year, yeah?
Yes.
And Gen Zs, we like calling them Gen Zs, but let's be honest, any Gen Zote, right?
It's everybody.
It's everybody. Yeah. But are you prepared to deal with the issues that have, because now the politicians who vied, won or lost in 2022, including yourself, right now in 2027 you're meeting a completely different monster.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you ready for that particular monster, and are you willing to offer whatever that monster needs?
Well, I want to flip that question and say we need to organize ourselves as Kenyans.
How so?
And agree on what we want. There are more young men below 38 than people with guns in this country. Have you ever wondered why the government of Kenya can take polling stations to every village but not a hospital or a school? It's deliberate because that favors them. Have you ever wondered we have a chief in every sub-location but not a nurse? Have you ever wondered why there is an AP with a gun in every village? It's the securitization of the colonial mentality. I want President Ruto to go to Hargeisa. There is nobody with a gun, including the banks.
Yeah.
Kenya is calm. Kenya is not secure. Kenya is calm. If you go to Nairobi CBD, the number of officers with guns. But
Hargeisa is in Somalia, right?
Somalia, but they call themselves Somaliland.
Okay.
They got independence before Somalia, then they joined, then they had issues. Kama sisi notisa tulikuwa tunataka kutoka hapa 1963. So what happens is when you come, what they did, the psychology of security is everybody. So if I go with Mbubi or Mzee to Hargeisa, it will be reported by the person we visited the house.
Okay.
They will call the police. They will come, look at our passport, talk to us, leave. So they know we are here.
Okay.
So that's already a deterrence. That Mzee, we know you're here. We have the passport. So wewe maliza kazi yako, enda. You see.
You know, that is a very profound understanding of security.
Yes.
Meaning,
Yes.
Tanzania have the same thing.
Yes.
What do you mean?
You go to Tanzania, believe me, they have a mjikumi, as we call them here.
Yes.
This is Nyumba Kumi initiative.
Yes, what I'm calling mjikumi. But
Yeah. Okay.
They will inform the authorities of the visitors they have and where they're from.
Yes.
So you are known that you've gone into Tanzania. It is known. You are known. It's not as though it's not a secret. And even what you've come to do will be known.
Yes.
Security is not a fence.
No, it's not.
It is not a guard. It is people. If the people in your country, and this is when now the politics comes in, get what they need, when they need it, where they need it, or they're assured they would get it, you have security. That is security. Because the people themselves feel secure and they're confident that they will achieve what they need and get what they want. Then the country is secure. If that doesn't happen and the political processes bring this into being, then we will be insecure.
Yeah.
Our borders are infiltrated because the citizenry allow it to be infiltrated.
Yeah. They don't give a heck.
When they know that the government they have elected cares for them, they will support the government and give the government the power to continue with the security. In the absence of that, the citizenry now act against the interests of the so-called government.
So if I see Abdullahi has come into my
house.
home area.
Yeah, you go to the chief.
So mi niende niseme chief hapa kuna
Nina mgeni.
Yeah, kuna
so
mwenzangu. Kuna mwenzangu Mkenya,
Aha.
Msomali,
Naam.
amekuja kwangu, atakaa na mimi siku 3, amekuja kuangalia mashamba, atarudi Tuesday.
That's it. Nothing more.
Nothing more.
And this is actually what happens.
Yes.
Hargeisa, yes.
You've said in
I
Hargeisa.
was in Hargeisa for 2 years.
Yes.
And you know there are a lot of Kenyans, by the way. People don't know. We had a society called Kensom, Kenyan Somalis. We Kenyans in Somalia. We used to, every month or every 2 months, we used to have ugali, nyama choma. We used to gather. There were 200 of us. Kenyans have no problem with each other, bro. You know when politicians talk about unity. Unity for whom? Kenyans have no problem. We have no. I was in Busia, I was in Ojami in the late 80s and early 90s. I have friends today. So Kenyans have no problem. The problem is the politician leaders. You are making a lot of noise. There is something I wrote about creating chaos.
Yes.
In government, what Ruto is doing. You know, the world was not created yesterday. The presidents must know.
Yes.
They were researchers. They were philosophers. They were people in this world who did things. Now there is this. I think he's a British American. He talked about the 5 keys authoritarian tendencies control and why.
What's the name of that person?
He's called Timothy Cinder. He says they control health, they control the law, they control administration, they control defense, they control intelligence. Why do they do that? Each arena's goal is to consolidate power, create chaos, and yes, even death. So whatever Ruto is doing now has been studied 100 years ago.
Okay.
There is nothing new he's doing. If you read The Prince or Leo Tosley for the last 1,000 years, there is no new character of a man. People have been studied, the philosophers have written, people like securitization of the Berlin. There are no fences in the houses. The last 10 years, if you go to Berlin, the last 10 years, the train was not late even for 2 minutes. If it was, the passengers knew. that the plane is going to delay for
alas,
2 minutes.
one of the things that most people don't know, in this very country, there was a service that was called Kenya Bus Service.
Yes.
Oh, I use KBS.
Yes.
There was even a board. You knew this bus which goes to this place will arrive at this time.
Yes.
Believe me, it arrived at that time.
Yes.
You knew. So you waited and knew. You look at your watch, you see the bus arriving.
Nairobi used to be cleaned.
And you board the bus
Yes.
and you proceed.
Yes.
So he is not talking about something that
Hasn't been done here.
No, even us, we regressed.
We went back.
We regressed. We've regressed tremendously as a nation.
Days when I was in college, I used to eat in a mama's place, a Mkikuyu mother, a mother who used to cook coffee for Jonjo, Charles Jonjo, like in this lawyer, this big eyes lawyer. What's his name?
Amos Wako.
No, this Kikuyu guy.
Paul Mwite.
Paul Mwite. There was a technocrat, the professionals. They were young lawyers then, so they used to have a coffee place in Mamangina Street. There used to be a shop. They used to come. That she's like 85 around there.
Yes.
So I used to, when I was in college, I used to sit with her. She's the owner of the place, so I sit with her. I take notes because I was doing journalism, so I was taking notes. She told me Nairobi used to be cleaned. Kenyatta's daughter was the mayor.
She's called Margaret.
Yes, Margaret. They used to clean Nairobi. My friend who is a lawyer now, dad, went to do lab technician in Kilifi. The government used to give you money. Bro, if you give me this country for 10 years,
Yes.
every Kenyan will receive social service fund. You know why? The money is 300 billion is stolen at parliament, treasury, and the executive. Do you know how much 300 billion can do? Now, today you are told education has no funds. Where is Kindiki getting all the money? They are stealing it. They are stealing the money and then giving us, because they are clueless on how government must work. A leader is not a person who shows off. Ruto is a human being like me. Mimi na yeye tukitolewa suruali ni nini hana mimi sina. We're all men.
We have about 2 minutes before we let
Bragging,
you.
kubrag, using in the name of Jesus.
Sasa niko na swali.
Yes.
And this is again, I'm tying it to 2027. There's
Yes.
something City Muga said yesterday here,
yes.
and he was talking about the youth,
Yeah.
the fact that they are partyless, tribeless, fearless, all those malessless wanashindwa kusema, which is a good thing. But we were asking collectively, even with the guest that was here, whether that all that will disappear on election day when you actually get there, because at the end of the day, as a generation zote saizi tuko partyless, tuko fearless, tuko tribeless, ndio, lakini siku ya kupiga kura hivi, that day I might remember that mimi ni Mkamba, that day you will remember when ni Msomali, that day Siti atakumbuka yeye ni Mjaluo. Do you think that is what is going to happen, or we are overthinking this?
First of all, this tribeless, this is just a phrase like other slogans. Kenyans are tired. Okay?
Yes.
Kenyans are paying tax, yet they are suffering.
Right.
In 2013, October 9th, my son was born in Oliver Hospital in Norway. When he was 8 months in his mother's womb, we received 500,000 equivalent of Kenyan shillings in his account
From the Norwegian.
from the Norwegian government,
Okay.
because his mother was working. She was a Somali Norwegian. So when we got 400 something, the essence was to take care of the baby's need,
Okay.
his strollers, his everything.
Nguo zake.
Yeah, kila kitu. Now his hospital is free, his schooling is free. My boy goes to school for free. He goes to health hospital for free. In fact, I don't need to take him. He just goes himself. He's 12, gets an appointment, he's treated, and then he comes home.
Okay.
Now, after he was born, before he was born, when we had the labor, the doctor came to me and told me, do you have preferences of doctors? Yes. I told him I prefer female gynecologist, female anesthetist, and female nurses, because of my faith and my culture.
Okay.
Then he told me, do you want the female to be Christian? I don't tell him. I told him a woman is a woman. So whether she's a pagan or a Christian or a Norwegian, I just want a woman.
Okay.
3 ladies came. She dealt with my wife. The boy was born. When he was born, he was taken to several places. I was clipped and he was clipped.
Okay.
So everywhere my boy goes, I go. You know why? If they damage my son with a little negligence, the amount of damage the Norwegian government is going to pay is mind-blowing.
All right.
So you see,
basically,
systems have to work for us. And there is two things you can't do in Mbuvi. You're either leading and going home, or you're either stealing and people are suffering. You can't have both. Are
we going to have a good, peaceful election in 2027?
We will. Kenyans will decide and tell them,
yes,
we have to have a peaceful election and a very candid discussion so that we don't become Somalia or Libya.
Thank you so much, Abdullahi Alas. That's the time that we have as far as that conversation is concerned. We shall definitely bring you back because we still need to talk about the by-election.
I'm coming back. I'll be in Europe trip 40 days.
Okay.
Then I'm coming back from mid-September.
All right.
Inshallah.
Sawa sawa. Karibu tena sana. Let's keep the conversation going.
Let's build the country.
Dear listener, don't go too far because when we return, I promised you a conversation around Nakada. That's happening in T-6 minutes. So get ready with the pen and paper, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions as well. Find us on our social media pages. That is Radio Gen KE.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Civil society organizations and union representatives in Mombasa have called out the Central Organization of Trade Unions Secretary General Francis Atwoli for failing to address long-standing labor grievances affecting the warehouse workers in the region. The representatives said they have had a series of strikes demanding for a better pay and working conditions in vain. They added they have reached out various leaders over their plight, but nothing has been done.
Atwoli must step up. We know you are not going to resign. But we want to call you. As long as you're still in that office, do your work.
We have had a series of strikes in the sector, all about demanding for decent pay and decent work, but that has never been achieved. Our outcry has always been treated with contempt, and this has been provoking now and then strikes. So today, we are appealing to the national government, CS for Labor Dr. Alfred Mutua. You are a renowned leader when it comes to initiating Maendeleo Chap programs. Please come at the Kenyan coast here in Mombasa and attend to this urgent issue.
4 police officers were on Thursday directed to provide food and basic supplies for remandees and courtroom attendees after they failed to appear in court to justify a murder case involving former police officer Hamed Rashid. The order issued by Justice Diana Kavedza at the Kibera High Court was given in place of usual penalties for contempt of court, as only one of 6 officers summoned showed up for the hearing. One of the officers had been excused, but the 4 were found in contempt for skipping the session. Instead of the standard 3-month jail term or a 10,000 shilling fine, Justice Kavedza imposed a symbolic sentence.
Each one of you will buy a packet of toilet paper and bar soap for the 5. Go and bring. That is the punishment you pay for not coming to court. Go bring before I let you out.
The Ministry of Health has laid out a comprehensive set of interventions to restore public health and safety in Thange Makueni. This comes nearly a decade after an oil spillage from the Kenya Pipeline Company's infrastructure polluted River Thange and surrounding areas. Appearing before the Senate Committee on Energy on Thursday, Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale detailed several measures being undertaken or planned by the ministry following a recent joint site visit in line with Senate resolutions on the matter. He said the ministry was committed to a long-term solutions and restoring the dignity of affected residents who continue to suffer health, environmental and economic consequences from 2015 spillage.
You need to call all of us, starting with the county government of Makueni, and the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Environment, which was my former ministry, the Ministry of Health. All of us, if you can look for county hall, we come and face each other. This idea of silos is what I am dismantling in the corridors of Afi House. When you meet people individually, they don't take responsibility, and it is a very serious matter because we are talking about cancer. And I will tell you, From the 2023 report, Chairman, we have about 48,000 annually Kenyans who are victims of cancer. About 33,000 die every year.
Members of Parliament have called for a special audit of the National Oil Corporation of Kenya owing to its partnership with Rubis Energy Kenya. During a session with NOC officials on Thursday, the Public Investment Committee and Commercial Affairs aired grave concerns regarding the corporation's operations, citing lack of transparency. The committee now wants the Auditor General to conduct a special audit into the corporation's dealings. Pokot South MP David Kosing chairs the committee.
That the public money shall be used in prudent and responsible way and pursuant to provisions of Section 34 of Public Audit Act 2015, the committee directs the Auditor General to undertake a special audit guided by the following terms of reference. 1. Establish the process through which Rubis Energy Kenya was onboarded, the legal, commercial arrangement entered into, and the proportion of profit sharing agreed upon.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday in a bid to salvage Gaza truce talks and tackle a humanitarian crisis in the enclave, where Global Hunger Monitor has warned that famine is unfolding. Shortly after Witkoff's arrival, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on his Truth social network that the fastest way to end the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is for Hamas to surrender and release hostages. In Washington's latest apparent diplomatic shift, backing Israeli against the Palestinians and diverging from its European allies, the State Department announced sanctions on officials of the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian Liberation Organization. It says the groups were undermining peace efforts. That's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
There was morning radio.
I've never seen anything like this.
But now there is Radio Generations, the People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey.
You got it locked.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
All right, it is 7 minutes past 7 o'clock. Past 8 o'clock. A very good morning to you in case you're just joining us. This is Radio Generation. Nairobi, we welcome you on 88.8 FM. Mombasa, it's 90.7. Malindi, 92.1. Lamu, 92.6. And of course, Garissa, a very good morning. How are you doing on 89.5? We say that we are internationally recognized and accepted on rgk.co.ke. Na kama kawaida, in studio we do have Siti Muga, but also we do have our guests for this particular morning. I actually thought they were twins when I met them because they look so alike. The only distinction is the fact that perhaps their height, perhaps maybe not. But anyway, let me introduce them. We do have Adrian Njenga. He's a senior policy and planning officer at NACADA. Adrian, a very good morning and welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you. Good morning and happy new month.
Asante sana. And also joining us today is Alex Matindi. He is the Secretary General of MELTA. Now, MELTA is Medium and Small Liquor Traders Association. Alex, good morning and welcome to Radio Generation.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having us.
Karibu sana. Tuanze na NACADA. There has been some buzz online around something NACADA said. Then they came out and they said something else. Then there was a CS who said something tofauti. So there's been a lot of confusion and maybe you can clarify for us. Tumesikia kuna mahali hatuwezi nunua pombe wala kutumia pombe wala kukunywa pombe.
Yes.
Can you clarify that particular information we saw online?
Thank you once again for having us. Indeed, this week, the government of Kenya launched the national policy for the prevention, control and management of alcohol, drugs and substance use.
Right.
This has been a long journey. To trace back the journey of the development of this policy, it's actually a Vision 2030 deliverable. So it was envisioned in 2007 that Kenya will develop a national framework to guide its priorities as far as alcohol and drug control is concerned. So after how many years? From 2007 to 2025? Well, that's almost 12 plus years, right? Finally, government put together a policy which was launched by the cabinet secretary. So the policy will be implemented through various mechanisms. There are administrative measures that will be used to implement the policy. There will be legislative measures that will also be used to implement the policy. There will be ministerial statements from time to time, depending on the cabinet secretary whose docket has been affected by the policy, including economic instruments that will be used in the implementation of the policy. So the goal of the policy is to protect Kenya from the harmful effects of alcohol use and also the harmful effects of drugs and substance use. So that's the overall conversation that has been going on in the country. Though I know the focus has been largely on alcohol,
yes,
but the policy has over 105 policy actions directed to different government agencies,
right,
and different actors. But the focus in the country has only been around 2 or 3. And it goes beyond alcohol. It's alcohol, tobacco, and other psychoactive substances. Yeah.
All right. So again, in the newspapers yesterday and the day before that, on social media, we saw that there are some places we can no longer buy or access alcohol. So that means supermarkets, restaurants, places where children get to buy their toys, and many other places. Of course, there was a very long list.
Yes.
So is that statement true? And I'm asking because today is Friday.
And there's a very popular saying in Kenya, with Gen Zs and millennials, that sherehe ni sheria. So yes, so the policy, ideally in Kenya, the policy ought to have come before the law. The Alcoholic Drinks Control Act of 2010 ought to have come after this policy. But unfortunately, the laws, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropics Act of 1994, the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act of 2010, the Tobacco Control Act of 2007 have come after the policy. So a lot of these provisions are already in law. You cannot sell alcohol through vending machines in Kenya. That was enacted in 2010. You cannot sell alcohol within a distance of 300 meters from a basic education institution. That was enacted in 2010.
And by basic, we mean primary, secondary school?
Primary, secondary. That was enacted in 2010, but we went for public participation for the policy. Stakeholders also felt that we also need to enhance that to higher learning institutions, because we do have minors who have been admitted into universities.
Yes.
So in 2010, it was basic education that the policy provides that now we enhance it to vocational and tertiary level institutions.
Right.
So a lot of these things have already been enacted in law. It's just that now we are working backwards to capture them in policy and also now incorporate emerging issues that were not captured in 2010 when the Motudo law was enacted.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are not allowed to buy alcohol in a supermarket. So again, I want a straight yes or no answer.
So going forward, as I indicated, the policy will be implemented through a number of measures.
Okay.
Some of the policy actions.
Pause. The policy will be implemented.
Yes.
Meaning it has not been implemented.
It has just been launched.
All right.
Yes.
When you say launched, what do you mean?
Launching in this sense means that so once the policy went through the policy development process, right from problem identification, policy formulation, presented to cabinet for approval. So launch is the official unveiling, but ideally it was adopted as a national policy on the 24th of June of this year.
That I understand the adoption.
Yes.
The implementation is what is the issue here. Has it been implemented? Is it being implemented as we speak?
Some provisions, as I indicated, some provisions of the policy already existed in existing
Yes, they did.
Legislative instruments.
Yes.
So like the 300-meter rule within which an outlet selling alcohol should be, that is already being implemented.
Yes. Where is it being implemented?
At least we have some counties.
I think perhaps we can ask, is it being enforced?
In some counties, it's actually being enforced.
Believe me, implementation and enforcement are twins. Okay? If you say it's being implemented and it's not being enforced, then it is not being implemented.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is really my point.
Yes.
The reason why you find me belaboring this point is for a very simple reason, for clarity.
Yes.
Because that particular act arose out of a need.
Yes.
And they had been clamoring for it, and people had spoken about it, and it was celebrated that it was done. Okay? It's just that now it's being presented as though it is coming out for the first time, and it is not the truth. Okay? Now, the question is asking, I'm not going to rephrase it. He asked it well. Where can you or where can you not buy alcohol? Simple question.
Yes. So
now, meaning we're talking implementation. Where can you and where can you not buy alcohol?
So as at now,
yes.
Now today weekend.
Today Friday fast.
As at now, we have the National Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, which has already provided those places where you can buy alcohol.
Okay.
We also have around 43 county alcoholic drinks control legislations that mirror the national law that provide for the same. So the new areas that then will be legislated now include the supermarkets, online sale, home deliveries.
Mbona mumeguza universities? Okay, because it is part of the list.
Yes.
Alcohol cannot be sold within the universities.
Within universities,
yes,
and also now around 300 meters
around the university as
well.
So let's take a very good example of Kenyatta University. Kenyatta University has got a student center.
Yes,
and this student center, among other things, they also sell alcohol within the university. So that means from today henceforth, now that we are enforcing this particular policy laws or whatever we want to call it, from today henceforth, student center ya Kenyatta University iache kuuza pombe. Hivyo ndivyo tunasema?
No.
Okay.
So on public universities first, because private universities do not have outlets that sell alcohol within campus.
Come again?
Private universities.
Oh yes, private. Okay, yes.
Yeah. Though around university, they do. So, for example, KU, we have the student center, and we have KM where the access some of these illicit products.
Okay.
So going forward, some amendments need to be made to existing legislations now to implement some of these provisions. However, with public universities, we've been having a serious conversation with them. We recently released a study on the status of alcohol and drug abuse within our universities, and the figures are very alarming. Well, in the country, 1 in 8 Kenyans is actively using alcohol. Among university students, it's 1 in 5. So that tells us that that university students are already actively using the same. In terms of burden of the problem, which we call alcohol use disorders.
Yes.
Second to employees working in the public sector. The other category of population group in the country that has a serious burden of alcohol use disorders are university students.
Okay.
So I mean, just to give you data from private rehabilitation centers for the period July to December.
Right. That is not July last year?
Yes, to December 2024.
All right.
They treated 4,200 Kenyans for various what we call substance use problems. Out of the 4,000, 1,900 were aged between 24 to 35 years.
Okay.
Actually 19 to 35 years. So that tells you that we have a big burden amongst that population group.
Alex, I've not ignored you. I really wanted to get this.
It is important to hear from him first, then at least we understand exactly what it is we are.
So he has mentioned this policy that apparently has been there.
Yes.
And to be honest, Kenyans didn't know about it. Well, some Kenyans.
Correct.
Of course, I'm sure the people who are really serious and engrossed in Nakada issues might have had this information.
That is true.
But the rest of us are getting to hear about it right now. As Melta, did you know this?
Yes, we did. One of the most important things we as Melta do, Melta is basically an umbrella organization that encompasses small, medium bars and restaurants to enable them get assistance in terms of oversight policy, so that when policies come out that work regards them,
yes,
we are able to work with the bodies directly on behalf of our members, who then pay a subscription, because it's easier to have one voice, a united voice. So that is what Melta does. Yeah.
Right.
So basically, based on that, we do understand the policy, and most importantly, we do support the policies brought up by NACADA, because at the end of the day, we advocate for responsible drinking. right? Which is very
Did they
important.
consult Melta while coming up with this policy?
The initial policy that is in play, there was public participation. That is correct, because the laws by and large are meant to protect us and our children, and most importantly our members and our guests, because in our restaurants and our bars we want to make sure that everyone coming in is of the right age and they only take as much as they can handle and not more.
Right.
So that said, it is important for us to make it clear that we are not against the policy.
Yes.
What we want to do is, one, be involved in the policy making, because as business owners, it is important that we do not kill businesses.
Because it affects you directly.
Directly. Every single one of our members has either a bar, a restaurant, or a hotel, and they need to know that they are protected, because you open a business with the aim of making a profit while running a responsible business. Because the other thing we are worried about is, if implemented in the totality that is out there in the public domain, which of course lacks clarity for a lot of people, they're just taking it as it is. As he has very well explained, a lot of it has been in play for a long time. It's just that for us out here, without the full knowledge, we are saying, oh, there's a blanket ban. So if we were to look at that blanket ban per se and say, no longer selling in supermarkets, you cannot sell in restaurants, one of the biggest problems that's going to rise is job losses.
That's a definite.
Totally. If you say anyone below 21 years cannot access
or consume alcohol,
no, not even the consumption is okay, cannot access an establishment that sells alcohol, it means that about 1.6 million employees will immediately lose their jobs. Right?
How so?
Because a lot of the people we employ are young.
All right.
You have guys who finish school. They are savvy. They have excellent customer service. Their people skills are excellent. So those are the people you want to have in your establishment.
Oh, so these are the waiters.
The
delivery guys.
The delivery guys. The guys running the border. So you want to have someone vibrant. By the time you get to my age, you're an old fogey. And really, I'm coming to your establishment to sit there and wait.
If you're old, then what am I?
Age is only in the mind.
They affect, you've said 1.6 million
Kenyans. Directly. Those ones will be about the layoffs that happen overnight if the policy were to be implemented in totality today. Right? Because you'll have to lose all of those. Supermarkets have taken on extra staff to run the alcohol sector, the liquor store.
Yes.
In my premises, I have X number of employees, as does the next person, who are between 18 and 21. So those are the biggest issues that we need. In terms of implementation, we fully support NACADA, and we work hand in hand, because we do consult together at the end of the day, because we are all stakeholders. And it is important for everyone to realize that we are not fighting NACADA. We basically want what is good for the business owner and for the country, from a tax perspective as well as from a responsible perspective of drinking age. So those are our main issues. Yes.
Wait, this is crazy. And the reason I'm saying this is crazy is because there are places where Kenyans like to go and enjoy their drink. Others take it to the house.
Correct.
And then they just have fun in the house without necessarily going to the clubs and so on and so forth. So if now someone who even works from home and they need to access that favorite bottle of theirs, now I hear also in the residential areas hiyo pia income inaenda. Ama nilisikia vitu zangu.
Yes, but as it were, the law provides that you cannot have an outlet operating within a residential area. As CT has pointed out, yes, we do have some few challenges in terms of enforcement and implementation, but as it is now, outlets should not be allowed to operate within residential areas.
So that local wines and spirits, someone has decided to open because that's the only business they can do, and the only place you can't just open a random liquor store on a road or in the bush somewhere where hakuna traffic, because you see, if you open that place mali hakuna traffic, ni kumaanisha you're not going to sell anything. At the end of the day, you're probably gonna ikienda sana, if you're lucky, sell a bottle or two. You need to pay rent for that particular premise. You need to pay the person who's selling that place. You need to pay your taxes and so on and so forth, and you're not selling anything. So now what happens? Because it is the residents who actually, ikifika Friday when you're trying kwenda out, they'll go to their local and buy whatever, come back to the house.
But by the same token, wherever it is they work, they don't work from home, or unless they work from home. Why don't you buy whatever it is you're buying and then come home with it? Why must the outlet be within?
But there's those people who work from home city, like literally kuna watu wanafanya academic writing, consultancy.
I agree. There is a thinking behind banning it within residential areas. There's a thinking behind it. It wasn't arbitrary. Thought went into it before that decision was made.
So, but I'm just because it's a factor and it's happening. It's a reality.
Let me play the devil's advocate. Allow me.
Why not?
I think one of the other biggest problems that has arisen is the demarcation between residential and the business area. So you'll find, because of the population expansion, the so-called shopping center, whereas back in the day you'd walk to the Shopee.
Yes.
Now the Shopee is surrounded.
Inside.
Yes, it's right inside that.
Yeah.
Right?
Or inside the estate.
Inside the estate.
Okay.
And furthermore comes the other biggest problem, which I think is also a nightmare for NACADA in terms of implementation. What came first? I have opened a school.
Yes.
Right? But by the time I opened a school in 2025, City had already opened a liquor store or a bar.
Yeah.
So
And a nightclub.
exactly. Sabina Joy.
So iko pale. So now City now has to move because you've opened a school.
But comes the question, why should City have to move? Yet I found him there. You see, so it's a whole conundrum, which again, from policy perspective, becomes very hard to regulate, because it is one thing to say that it is well intentioned, like you pointed out, which is very good. The policy was thought through. The end game in mind was the correct one.
Okay.
But now circumstances have overtaken the whole
But
situation.
Alex, is it really circumstances, or it a lapse in implementing our planning? Because all these things
I agree on that.
fall within a much larger framework of planning.
I think a lot of people who are supposed to support the implementation
Yes.
have dropped the ball.
I mean, look, for instance,
Yes.
when you put up a development,
Correct.
let me talk about Buruburu and look at the laws that we have. Okay, when there's an inhabitants that has been created with a certain number of people, there are certain amenities that you must have with it.
Correct.
Okay, whether it's a nursery school, depending on the number, primary school, and so forth and so forth. Okay, I'm using Buruburu as an example because Buruburu has the things that I'm talking about because it was planned in such a manner.
True.
But over time, people created extensions.
True.
Okay, there are those who argue it doesn't comply with the bylaws that regulate building, but there it is. They took it even further. Those extensions then became shops, and yet there's supposed to be a shopping center.
True.
Some of those extensions now became hairdressing salons. Some of them now then became liquor outlets.
Yes.
Precisely. You see, the need arose, but it looks like what had taken precedent was our disregard for the laws that exist. So that's what we're discussing here. Not the law.
And I was actually going to bring that up later, but now that it's been brought up, let's tackle it. Instead of, because we know, number one, watoto hawafai kunywa pombe. So anyone below age of 18 akwende.
That one we all agree.
Yeah.
Though for us it's actually 24. If you were to have our way, it will be 24.
Not even now the proposed 21.
Not even 21 was a consensus.
But why 24? I need to understand
24
the thinking.
because according to WHO, the brain is fully developed at the age of 24, particularly for the boy child. Boys tend to mature much later in life than
25 really. 24 is again given as around 25.
In fact, when we went for public participation for the policy in Northeastern, they gave us 25 as a recommended legal purchasing age, and they gave a cutoff of 65. I don't know if CT you.
Oh, so after 65 pia huwezi nunua.
You retire from your drinking career. According to
look at it this way, I am above 65, and that's why I will disregard that law.
so that was a recommendation. That was a recommendation from our stakeholders.
Okay.
So because your brain is fully developed at the age of 24, we need to give you a chance.
Okay, to develop that brain.
To develop that brain.
Okay.
If you start to use substances between the ages of 15 to 20, you have a 5% chance of developing an alcohol use disorder and a mental health challenge later on in life.
And the process of stunting your mental growth as well. Because you'll be killing your brain cells very steadily, very methodically.
There's someone who actually asked me, we were having a conversation around this, and I think it was yesterday, and we said, so you're allowed to have sex after 18, or rather at 18 going, above. You're allowed to vote at 18 years and above, and like you become an adult at 18.
Military.
You can even join the military. You can even be arrested and charged in a court of law as an adult at 18. So why is it so difficult to allow me to just start drinking at 18? So that was a question that was asked.
Yes.
But I get now what you're saying about biologically, the brain develops and all that. I think you've answered that. But coming back to hii maneno ingine ya sasa 21 years hata maneno ya kununua na kuuza. Hiyo kidogo si itakuwa tricky, bro.
You know, the age, the numbers that we're talking about between the ages of 18 to 21 is around 5 million Kenyans. Between 18 to 35, we are talking about around 36% of our population, which is around 20 million. This, we need to protect this 5 million because addiction is a progressive disease. If you start today, you'll not become addicted tomorrow, over time.
Yes.
Which is why we are seeing these numbers in our rehab facilities, where at 25 to 35, we are treating so many people who have been admitted into various facilities. And this is my cue. The numbers that I shared is only private. We had to compute the numbers from public rehabilitation facilities, and the numbers are likely to be more. So the intention is, first, let's get you to finish vocational training, post-secondary, without necessarily being influenced to start to use substances. Secondly, again, from research, cannabis use in Kenya has shot up by 90%. Yeah, the last few years. Majority of the people who are using cannabis are between the ages of 15 to 35.
Okay.
Globally, again, we are seeing a decline in the number of people, of Gen Zs, who are using alcohol. That's a global trend.
Yeah.
What are they using instead?
They are now crossing over to other psychoactive substances.
Like the hard ones?
Yes.
Akina cocaine.
Cannabis, ecstasy, methamphetamine. Globally, that's a trend that we are seeing. So for these hard substances, in our context, alcohol and tobacco are usually the gatekeepers, the initiators. Rarely will you find someone who started with cannabis without having started from sigara na pombe.
Okay.
Because these ones then initiate you and they prepare your brain now to use other harder substances, which is why, again, for alcohol, we are very careful around even conversation around taxation.
Okay.
We will prefer a situation where spirits, vodkas, and high concentrated, the taxation is higher than beer, because the people who are using these other harder substances, harder alcohol, so to speak, is not people above the age of 40 and above. Most of them, it's young people, because they want a quick
fix,
a quick high. Yeah. So the conversations around taxation, fiscal policies for alcoholic drinks in our country, you'll also notice that we tend to focus more on spirits, vodkas, and alcoholic drinks that have a higher alcohol volume, so that we discourage young people because they are price sensitive, and two, problem drinkers.
Okay.
Someone who has a drinking problem, if the price of an alcoholic drink is increased, they're likely to do two things: either seek treatment because they can't afford it anymore, and then now the other conversation that we have in Kenya, that they will transition to
changa. All right. I want Alex, I'd like you to join this, because it is true what he's saying.
It is very, very
we are seeing more and more illicit brews, because now people are unable to access, let me call it, the finer stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. So if I'm unable to get a hold of that 25-year-old whiskey bottle, surely, because it's costing 10,000 shillings.
Yes.
Now kuna mama hapa kando just across the road, anaweza nipatia, it's not similar, it's actually very worse, but I will still get the same highness.
Correct.
For 500 bob.
That is the biggest problem currently. If you look at, there was a report this morning I was listening to. EABL has announced a decline in profits. I can't remember the exact percentage. And it is attributed, I'm sure you can confirm that, it is attributed to the increase of illicit brews. Now, one of the biggest problems NACADA has, which is the same thing we fight, is the influx of illicit brews, which is why I say we are very symbiotic towards one another. We need to eradicate or reduce as much as we can the margin of illicit brew. For example, when there was a beer that was the price had been reduced by ABL, I think it was Senator. Senator King.
Yes, and the president.
Yes, and president. The price point was very good for a lot of people. So they would go and buy legitimate. You can actually say this contains ingredients 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what you get today is the same one that you'll get tomorrow. What you buy in Nairobi is what you'll get in Kisumu, in Turkana, wherever it is you're buying from.
Yes.
When that price went up because of taxation, like he has very eloquently pointed out, a lot of people reverted to the next option they can afford, because again, affordability is one of the biggest issues towards hanging out.
Yes.
So that creates a very bad scenario, because a lot of those drinks, by virtue of their ingredients, cause addiction on a very high extent.
Yes.
Right? You're more likely to get addicted to that illicit brew than to a legitimate beer, so to speak, a Tusker, right? Or a Glenfiddich. That said, we need to find a balance point, because at the end of the day, we want to safeguard our future, which is our youth, and ourselves, our age bracket, I'm in the 50s.
Okay.
So we need to safeguard not just from the younger bracket, from the 18 all the way up to, as you said, the drinking age, which we shall stop at 85. We shall request to have it increased. We shall petition.
Does it make sense to say, have these people start drinking at the age of 21? Because if we are being honest,
yes,
yeye mwenyewe amesema hata watoto wa 12 years wanaanza kukunywa pombe, ni venye tu wamejificha.
Ni kweli. But then again, it is very important to protect them. Even if, as much as we say we want to move it to 21, we should, at the very, very bare minimum, cap it at 18 as a bare minimum.
Okay.
Because at 18, at least then you legally have an ID. Right? One other thing. Now, the brain development has also been raised as a factor, which is important to take into consideration.
Okay.
So we have no problem with that, with the age. What we have a real issue with is the job losses occasioned by not being able to work in an environment having alcohol.
So this is someone earning a salary, yeah? Someone who's 18.
Yes.
To 21 or even to 25, to me cut at 25. So this person works every single day, goes to work, and he meets colleagues perhaps such as City Muga here. Ni Friday, City ametoka hapa amesema, guys, nimeenda my favorite joint. Mimi sasa niko 21, ninafanya kazi na City, tumemaliza kazi 5 o'clock. City ameenda kujibamba. Sasa mimi niende home nikawatch cartoon.
That's a very good observation.
Na sasa hizo ujue niko na dem, niko na maboys, tunajibamba.
Yes. That's a very good observation. So one of the things that the policy has also considered is what we are calling alcohol-free zones. And we are really encouraging the creation of the same.
Jesus. Now there's alcohol-free zones?
Yes. So that if I'm a parent, I'm going out with my children over the weekend,
right,
and we want to have a good meal. I don't want to necessarily be in an environment where my children are exposed to alcohol early. I might have done my work at home, but when we go out, I'm coming across people who are very inebriated as they're also having their lunch. So that's one of the things that we have pushed for in the policy, including public parks. I want to go to Uhuru Park, have a good time, whether it's the park in Kisumu, the park in Kakamega, the park in Eldoret, have a good time with my family without necessarily coming across someone who's selling alcohol within the public space. I'm very happy, for example, that now Chan, which is starting off this weekend, one of the issues that they have addressed is alcohol will not be sold, and you're not allowed to come. You're not even allowed to come with alcohol to the stadium.
All right.
We can watch soccer without the issues of hooliganism that crops in if people are inebriated.
Yes.
So that's one of the areas that we've pushed for, alcohol-free spaces where we can have a good time. You can go
with
your family.
Yeah.
As a young person, you can go have a good dance without necessarily alcohol being sold in the environment. Additionally, just to respond to the issues around illicit
brews,
which Alex has spoken about. So industry data shows that around 60%, we had to have proper data, independent data. 60% of what we consume in Kenya is illicit. This is both surrogate alcohol and counterfeit alcohol, which is a big problem, as we hear from the industry. So the policy is very heavy on protecting the consumer, so that if you still choose to consume alcohol, the policy have given very clear mechanisms to ensure that what is produced and gets to you is safe for consumption. Among the issues that we have noted from enforcement is, for example, why do we have to distribute alcohol at night? You know, we've come across very interesting counterfeit alcohol being distributed between midnight and 6 a.m.
Because cops are not active at that time.
Yes. Yeah. So the policy provides that alcohol will only be distributed between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. Secondly, we've also provided that manufacturers and importers have to retrieve and take back empty bottles from within the markets where they sell their products, because the people who are manufacturing counterfeit products go back, pick the bottles,
then repackage
them
with the illicit brew.
Yes, and then sell back. Thirdly, we also want to have a conversation around our traditional brews. Changa, Busa, and encourage those Moratina, encourage those who are producing them to produce them in line with prescribed standards. So for example, in Nyans and Western, we have 1 or 2 factories that have been provided with a license to manufacture Changa.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and KEBS has already provided a standard for Changa. So the Changa that we consume in the village, the one Mama Pima uses their...
Now it can be produced in a safe environment.
In a safe environment. So the policy is also heavy on protecting the consumer in that regard as well.
All right. And I'm still on the issue of enforcement and implementation.
Correct.
I think instead of adding laws, and I think we've been in this studio tumekuwa tukitumia hii kitu ya kusema that we have enough laws. It's just that we're not implementing them. So introducing new ones really for me is not a solution. So what do we have have we had someone who's gone to prison because they sold alcohol to someone who's below the age of 18, or they sold cigarettes to someone who's below the age of 18? Has anyone, a parent or a school, a head teacher, whatever, have they been charged with a crime because they probably allowed their students to go out and interact in the market where they are able to access alcohol during school hours? Because if we had people going to prison, I believe this, if we had people going to prison, whatever you like calling heads rolling, perhaps then, Alex, we would see a situation whereby NACADA has an easier job coming up with policies.
Very true.
Yeah.
Like let me give you an example that has worked in line with what you said. Not really an alcohol-free zone. We have an event called the Pit Masters. It's basically a Nyama festival.
Okay.
One of the biggest things we have done, because it's a family event, is to make sure there are no alcohol sponsors and no alcohol sales on site. Right? So you come in with what you have.
Yes.
Now, what that has done, it has created a level of discipline that is there. Because you see, if I walk in, like now we are 4 of us here, and I walk in and I find you guys, I'm like, hey, boss, I haven't seen you in a long while. Can you give him another whiskey?
Yes.
Before you know, you have 12 beers in front of you. You have 2 bottles of gin. I have 2 bottles of rum or whatever it is. What that does is, at the end of it all, we will end up getting inebriated and our children are there.
Yes.
But if you walk in with your 6-pack, that is all you will have. And probably halfway through, you will take 2 bottles and give to him. And that's it. So there has to be that level of discipline, which is what we are saying. So even amongst adults, as we imbibe our liquor, there has to be discipline at the end of the day, which I think is because once we have a society that drinks responsibly, right, then NACADA has an easier job. We as Melter also have an easier job, because at the end of the day, we are not fighting. There's no mvurutano anywhere. And we are able to run businesses comfortably, and even from a government perspective, everything flows. So I think that's one of the biggest things we need to push for responsible drinking.
Yes.
Responsible drinking involves only people within the legal age to drink.
Yes.
Now, as regards setting the legal age, NACADA can do that responsibly. But like you pointed out very effectively, our biggest problem is enforcement. We have amazing laws.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
It is.
It is.
No, I'm asking, is enforcement really a problem?
It's enforcement and also a big chunk of personal responsibility. Let me give you another example, data that we have from NTSA. The most dangerous days to be on our roads is over the weekend. We lose an average of 3,000 Kenyans every year to road traffic crashes and injuries, and 10,000 are injured every year. And according to them, that's usually around 5% of our GDP, which translates to around 24 billion. Why would I drink and get on the road, yet I know that drinking impairs my ability to drive? So which is why, from stakeholders, one of the other issues that we incorporated is, why are we selling alcohol in petrol stations? Especially along the highways, the Nairobi-Nakuru highway, the Mombasa road, all these highways over the weekend, we get to see a lot of these road accidents. So as it is pointing out, over and above enforcement, there's a significant conversation around personal responsibility.
Yes.
Another concern that we have is consumption within home environments. During COVID, the cases of GBV and intimate partner violence shot up significantly. And one of the contributors, one of the risk factors for the same again was
alcoholism,
substance use. And not just alcohol, it was tobacco, cannabis, and another drugs. So, alcohol brought to the fore an existing problem. It was symptomatic of another problem, but it exacerbated the issue. So when we consume within the home environment as parents, what we are doing, you'll tell your child not to drink, but for children it's monkey see, monkey do. It's usually more about what you are doing rather than what you are necessarily
and I want to come back there and CT, as a teacher, perhaps you can also help answer this question. We in school we teach a lot of HIV education. In school we teach a lot of sex education and so on and so forth. Yes, we do. Mi nakumbuka nilifunzwa tulikuwa
and when you say we teach a lot, what do you mean? I mean, at what point is it adequate for it to be plenty? Is it a unit that someone skims through?
I'm not an expert in the quantity.
You're sent for practicals.
Even in KU we had a unit called HIV and AIDS.
It was a mandatory unit. It was for everyone.
So, but the reason I've brought it up is because in school, again, sex education, we are taught about HIV and hizi vitu zote. But I think we perhaps need to introduce alcohol education or substance use education. Because the moment you tell people, and especially children, because hapo ndio inaanzanga, unawaambia usikunywe pombe ni kitu mbaya. Na yeye ana grow up akiona dadi na mami wanakunywa pombe, but wananiambia ni kitu mbaya. So when he gets to a point whereby he can access alcohol, and a majority of kids access alcohol when they get to high school, when they go for their drama festivals and music festivals. Mimi nilikuwa na mabest wangu kunywa pombe tukua drama festivals na shanga and that thing for me was like, hey, okay. And when they come back, they give us reviews. Hey, kitu inashika Johnny noma. And they buy cigarettes and they you see them smoking and it looks cool. And as a young person, there's that peer pressure and you'd like to indulge in the same. So how about we start teaching it in school, not teaching them to take alcohol, but let them know that this is alcohol, these are the effects of alcohol, it is good, it is bad. Let them now make a choice. By the time they are getting to adulthood, someone is able to know. Nakumbuka niliambia mwana teacher wangu alikuwa anaitwa Adrian, nikikunywa pombe 2 zimetosha. As opposed to let him find out for himself, because he won't have a limit of 2. He will take an entire bottle before he knows it. He's addicted, or he has got other issues, health issues,
or even better yet.
No, go ahead.
Run that training on alcohol alongside entrepreneurship. Why? Because if Adrian is able to pass the message that alcohol has the following effects, right? As do drugs, but also you're also being taught that you can open your own biashara.
Yes.
Some of us grew up in a generation where you were expected to become a doctor. You are very specific things you were expected about you.
Right.
Now, if we can teach them that you can be that employer, right? You can be an artist, you can be whatever you can be, but you cannot achieve to be the best mechanic, the best chef,
if you're a drunkard.
Yes. So if we pair those two, then we are better preparing them for the future.
Yeah.
Why? Because at the end of the day, we don't just want people who are not taking alcohol. We also want them to be able to think ahead, to be able to think ahead about how they can impact society, because that will be their contribution towards the growth of this country.
Mwalimu mkuu, karibu.
Asante. We are discussing this matter of alcohol as though alcohol is the problem, but you see, this is my question.
Yes.
Is it really the problem? Is the alcohol the problem?
No, it is not.
It is the way we consume it.
There is a saying that in my youth I loved, because it justified my alcohol consumption, and it is drunkards who give alcohol a bad name. You see, if you look at how we treat alcohol as a Kenyan society, it stems from the Christian faith that almost every Kenyan who is not a Muslim or a Hindu or a Baha'i or other faiths is, and how it is that alcohol has been demonized from the get-go. So then comes in our national love for hypocrisy, where we preach water but drink wine. Now, we internalize these values without realizing we're internalizing them, and we act them out on a daily basis. Because there are, if you talk about examples, places where, or in families where children have not had alcohol demonized, and they've seen parents drinking, and the parents themselves have even allowed them to drink. You don't find this excessive going overboard drinking. It's like they internalize. The best example is probably not alcohol, but food. Have you ever been to a public function where food is available?
Yes.
Have you ever seen the piles of food that people, even when you're told it's a buffet, you can go back.
Come back here.
They're not taking chances.
It's now or never. Yes.
You umebeba hii na huku umebeba hii. If you could balance something on your head, umebalance.
Correct. Hata matunda unaweka juu.
Kwanza hii ni vizuri sana. Na matunda juu ya hiyo.
Matunda juu ya mchele.
Juu ya mchele ndio unaweka custard juu ya hiyo. Just to be safe.
And soup.
Yeah, and soup. Just to be safe.
Yes.
It speaks of how it is we value trust, and what it is, or the foundation on which the mistrust with which we approach life in this country is all about. So you're told one thing, hypocrisy comes in. We acknowledge, we acknowledge, but what we actually do has nothing to do with what it is that we're acknowledging.
Correct.
When we talk about the ills that are brought about by excessive and irresponsible alcohol consumption, people agree. All of them agree. All.
True.
We don't even disagree. But how we actually respond to this subject of alcohol in our lives is very, very different. But alcohol, the consumption of it is the symptom. It is just a symptom. Because so long as we do not address the problem that bedevils us and why it is we crawl into bottles and we crawl into cannabis smoke, and why we have all these crutches, and why people go on binges, because what is it that you are curing? What is it that you're running away from? What is it that you're dealing with? Because that's what it amounts to. You have the information that people die in road accidents because of excessive alcohol consumption. Every once in a while, if I'm out at night and I'm in a taxi, because I am in a taxi,
right,
and I stop briefly because people have been stopped. This is alcohol blow.
Yeah.
Man, somebody walks out of the car at a tangent and realize this fellow should.
They actually pour out of the car.
And if you pause to listen to the discussion he's having, the person clearly can't even see straight, but they are arguing. You're thinking, surely. You. Why am I being dramatic about this? Because these aren't children, these are grown-ups.
Correct.
People who are not young in any sense of the word, and they are in that state. So what exactly is it that we are dealing with? Because they could be in that state, but they're in a taxi and they're going home.
True.
No problem. But they're not. They insist they must drive. The crisis we have is not an alcohol crisis in the country. The crisis we have is not even a drug crisis. No, it is not.
What is a crisis?
That is now the homework that people must think and look at, because individually, what is it that makes you drink excessively?
But
because you don't have to. Yes, please.
But I think what you've said makes a lot of sense. I think one of the things that might be an issue is the enforcement or the repercussions.
Not really. People, look, I worked in HIV and AIDS care and treatment and research. We started when people knew if you're HIV positive, you are dead. Essentially, when you are dead.
Days of slim.
Right? Yes. Did it stop people from behaving irresponsibly? No. I know, because the work actually increased. Because people figured, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Now, ARVs came, you now didn't need to die, and then the issue was, and this is what I used to hear, sasa nyinyi watu mmepatia tu dawa. So these days we can't even tell kama mtu akona. You're thinking, surely the discussion here isn't about whether you can tell somebody's unwell or not. The discussion is, how do you treat responsibility? How do you handle it? Now, as a nation, we seem to be hot-wired to disregard authority and the law.
True.
And we keep growing it. With every generation, we just up the ante. And then we accept. Like we've accepted at traffic lights, motorbikes can just move as they see fit.
Traffic lights are suggestions.
Those are huge suggestions.
And yet in Rwanda, you cannot do the same thing.
Chief, you can't dare.
Yes.
And you know.
But I think it's because there's repercussions.
It is not the repercussions only.
Yes.
Why is it that when it comes to work, we are able to wake up at the time we need to wake up and go to work without an alarm bell or someone telling you go to work? Why?
Self-discipline.
Because from an early age, you are taught through going to school how you wake up and go to school. So the routine, and then the benefits of that going to school is also evident in people who are older than you. See, oh, so and so went to school, they studied this is what they are doing. You see it.
True.
Now we are having a blowback now because people are saying but there are no jobs, because that was the mantra, that was the way then, and we didn't change with time to say it. This education, when you graduate, you are told you're given power to read and all that pertains to it. We didn't internalize it. So the idea of education being something that opens your mind to be able to do things, or changing the curriculum so that part of our curriculum has to do with you starting a business while you're in school, being supervised, you implement it so that by the time you actually leave school, that business is actually functioning.
Yes.
So then again, I beg to ask the question, is it because we have a shortage of laws, or what he has just asked, of which I asked earlier on, the implementation? And he has said in Rwanda the reason you can't do that which you are not supposed to do is because of repercussions. Yes,
Rwanda has less laws than we have.
I like the fact that we need to instill this, or rather we have said the reason why people will do certain things and their discipline in those things is because they have, first of all, they started doing it when they were young, and then they have seen the benefits of doing those things. So shortage of laws, but also discipline, and ndio maana hiyo discipline itaingia tukianza kufunza kitu shule.
My brother, why do you think we have a problem with implementation?
Because it's not been implemented.
Why do we have a problem with implementation? We have people who are supposed to implement. Why is it that these people
because people are not doing that? Okay, first of all, we are breaking the laws, but also the people who are supposed to enforce those laws are just not doing their work.
We consider laws an inconvenience.
True.
And so when somebody who's supposed to implement it, like a policeman comes, it's not to take you to court or to jail.
No.
It's to negotiate with you how they
terms
can
of surrender.
This inconvenience of implementing the law.
Correct.
That's the discussion we have.
Yes.
And we know it.
True.
Yeah. And perhaps in the next hour, one of the things we shall discuss is why police vehicles always stop at your establishments. Yeah,
that is a discussion we need to have.
Yeah, we shall talk about that because
to refuel.
I
not the vehicle, the occupants.
Adrian, we're just about to get into the break. Tuko about 2 minutes. So tunasema. I need a straight yes or no answer. So leo tumesema ni Friday, watu hawezi ingia kwa supermarket wanunue pombe, ama tukubali supermarket wamalize stock zao.
I indicated earlier that one of the ways that this policy will be implemented will be through legislative measures. We yet to get to that stage. You see, a policy provides a framework.
So wamalize stock. But yes.
A policy provides a framework. So at some point, we'll need to amend the county legislation, the national legislation, so that it can now reflect the new additions that did not exist. But I also wanted to highlight something that CT shared. We know it's a very complex problem. It's also a medical and a health issue. People at times use substances to numb psychological issues that they are going through. With the breaking down of the social fabric in Kenya, we are now ranked, I think, as the 6th most depressed nation in Africa. So one of the ways that people are coping with these mental health challenges is by using substances, and the Ministry of Health is rolling out interventions to help people with numerous challenges associated with mental health. So like in October, when we'll be commemorating the World Mental Health Day, they'll be having a week-long summit to take stock of how we're faring on as far as implementation of these interventions is concerned. And substance use is indeed one of the main contributors to the mental health challenges that we are seeing in our country. They say 1 in 4 Kenyans has a mental health challenge. Okay. We are 4 in this room. We can probably take stock amongst us.
I have owned that one.
Yes, and in this looks can be deceiving.
All right, gentlemen. Did you finish your statement?
Yes.
Okay, sawa. Yeah. Look, we want to take a short break. Allow Winnie Maganga to give us the news. But when we return, hopefully we shall be able to get a different aspect of this conversation. So if you're listening to us, you can find us on Radio Gen KE and let us know. That is on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and our WhatsApp number, which I keep on forgetting that number, and when we come back, you can also send that message there so that we can we can also just get you to join the conversation. So don't go too far. Kama kawaida na kuambianga, Winnie Maganga is coming right up.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The government has evacuated more than 5,200 Kenyans from 19 countries under the Diaspora Distress Repatriation Program. This is amid growing fears of exploitation, abuse, and unsafe working environments faced by migrant workers abroad. Diaspora Affairs Principal Secretary Roslyn Njugu revealed that the data during a visit by members of the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations. Lawmakers raised questions over the country's growing overseas labor program and call for policy reforms, better coordination and improved transparency. Njogu added that the department had facilitated the placement of 400,000 Kenyans abroad by June 2025. The government has unveiled a reduction in tuition fees for public universities set to take effect from September 1st, 2025. This change, the results of extensive consultations with students, parents, and education stakeholders, aims to make university education more affordable and accessible through the new student-centered funding model. In a statement released by the Ministry of Education Principal Secretary Beatrice Inyangala explained that the revised fee structure will apply to both new and returning students. Education CS Julius Ogamba said the rationalization of public varsity fees is based on student-centered funding model.
That both the help and universities funds have been facilitated by this government to disburse funds to universities and students. Indeed, the disbursement of help loans for first-year university students will begin on the 15th of August 2025 in line with the reopening of universities. These funds will be released in phases to ensure a smooth transition into the university and TVET colleges and to help students settle into the academic journey without interruption.
The High Court will deliver a ruling on October 3rd to determine whether it has jurisdiction to hear petitions seeking the suspension of Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat over the death of teacher Albert Ojwang. When the case came up on Thursday, Lagat's lawyer Cecil Miller told the court that the petition falls under Employment and Internal Police Matters and should therefore be heard by Employment and Labour Relations Court and not the High Court. Miller added that the case, which was filed by UK-based activist Eliud Matindi, was wrongly placed before the High Court. The petition seeks to have Lagat suspended while the Independent Policing and Oversight Authority concludes investigations into Ojwang's death. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has announced that the government will begin closely monitoring former police officers and ex-military personnel. The CS cites concerns over their involvement in activities that threaten public safety and national security. Speaking on Thursday, Murkomen said the arrest of former prison officer Jackson Kuria Kihara, also known as Cop Shakur, and former Kenya Defence Force officer Patrick Nyabaka Osoi had exposed the risk posed by ex-service members misusing their state-acquired combat training. He noted that individuals trained by the government on the use of weapons have a greater duty than civilians and must not use their skills to threaten the public.
There are some characters whom I saw online that they are calling themselves forces fighting police brutality, and yet they were carrying guns and dressing using jungle attire, trying to intimidate the people of Kenya. I want to tell this, all police officers who are out of service, all military officers who are out of service, they have a greater responsibility than a civilian, and we will put them under very strict surveillance because those are persons who are highly trained by the government of Kenya on the use of arms.
Barcelona players will have DR Congo, Heart of Africa, inscribed on the back of their training shirts from the start of next season. This is after the top Spanish football team agreed on a 4-year deal with the Central African country. The partnership will reportedly cost the Democratic Republic of Congo 44 million euros, although the club has not disclosed the figure it will receive. A rebel group has seized large parts of eastern DR Congo this year, although a ceasefire has recently been agreed. The agreement has faced criticism from some Congolese who have questioned their government's priorities. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. In the beginning, there was morning radio.
I've never seen anything like this.
But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey.
You got it locked.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
That's very true. We are the home of hard truths and bold insights. It is Radio Generation. The People's Breakfast is where you're at right now. It's 6 minutes past 9 o'clock. In studio with me, I'm having a conversation with some very actually three gentlemen, including Siti Muga. But our guest today, we have Adrian Njenga. He's a senior policy and planning officer at NACADA. All right. And also joining him is Alex Matindi, Secretary General at Melta. So Melta wanasimamia Medium and Small Liquor Traders Association. So gentlemen, once again, welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you very much for having us.
And I promised Kenyans that I'll give them that number so they can WhatsApp. So guys, the number that you can WhatsApp us on is 011-692-8683. That is 0116-928-683. So that's our WhatsApp line. Tuma message yako pale. If you have anything for NACADA, ndio usiseme ati huku unajua wako hapa na huku pata nafasi ya kuwaongelesha. So whatever you want to tell them or ask them, that is the number you can find them on right now in studio. So that is 0116-928-683. Don't call it. You can send a voice note, you can send a message. Yeah, ukipiga sitashike your number. Sawa. Now, let's get the conversation going. I think we stopped at implementation of laws, the enforcement of laws. And we have agreed that kuna watu tu wafanye kazi yao. We find laws as an inconvenience, and we always find ways of circumnavigating them. But I want to ask you something that I had asked earlier on about your relationship with enforcement officers. We're talking about the city councils, the county councils, and of course the police. Because me ninatembeanga mtaani, and every jioni at around 6, between 6 and 7, I always see that GK vehicle. Inakuja inasimama, polisi wanaingia pale ndani, naona wanasalimiana, and in 2 minutes they're out. So, what is the relationship between you guys?
Unfortunately,
yes,
this is a scenario where the police use bars as a cash cow, which is a very unfortunate situation because when a lot of establishments fail to give them something which they have come to believe to be their right, then their patrons will be harassed. They will just create a scenario which is difficult for you to run your business.
Right.
So that is the biggest problem we have. Yes.
They'll create an environment that is very difficult. Umesikia City?
Umesikia
They
vizuri sana.
will create an environment that is difficult for you to operate in.
Essentially, they will introduce an inconvenience.
Yes.
And this inconvenience is what you'll be trying to, should we say, dilute with time. So the frequency of visits has to do with the frequency of promise, and the promise here is inconvenience.
Yes. Very true.
So you know that you see them,
Yes.
the promise has arrived.
You facilitate it.
And Adrian is very quiet on this issue. But anyway, because you don't sell alcohol, there's someone here actually. Amesema, hello Mbuvi, say hello to City Muga. City umesalimiwa.
Hello, how are you?
Unfortunately, they have not told us their name.
Is it male or female? Because I cannot say hello sir. Then nani huyu jamaa ako vipi tena?
So unfortunately they have not given us their name or their gender, but we'll leave it at that. So this is the question they have for Nakada. Why is Nakada focusing on alcohol sale, yet we have cocaine, bang, and of course I'm sure they mean narcotics?
Well, the policy is very broad. It focuses on alcohol and other drugs. So it's not just on alcohol, but as I indicated, the policy has 105 policy actions. The conversation nationally has only been around 10 specific to alcohol, and whether it's promotion, marketing, sale, etc. But within the 7 thematic areas that are highlighted in the policy, inside there you will find measures that will be taken to address the sale of narcotic drugs, including an emerging trend where we are seeing some of these substances being sold online, either through the darknet and even through other social media platforms. So within the policy, there are policy actions that have been instituted to address those kinds of emerging issues. So it's not just alcohol; it's everything from alcohol, tobacco, anything in the country that is categorized as a drug of abuse has been comprehensively addressed within the policy.
All right. Yeah. Another question: how does Nakada ensure that only illegal alcohol is destroyed and that licensed businesses are not unfairly targeted?
Thank you. One of the things that we have done, which is a guiding principle for this policy, is that we've moved from adapting a whole of government approach to whole of society approach, which means that all stakeholders within government, KRA, KEBS, the National Police Service, Anti-Counterfeit Authority, weights and measures, and over and above, including the industry, play a significant role in the implementation of this policy, including county governments. One of the things that happened in 2010 when we promulgated the constitution is liquor licensing moved from the national government to county governments. So they are the ones who have the ambit of providing licenses for liquor outlets across the country. So going forward, one of the things that you'll see, of course, is enhanced enforcement in collaboration between all the relevant agencies. But beyond enforcement, the other conversation that we are also rechanneling Kenyans back to is what we were talking about earlier: personal responsibility and promotion of family values, because a lot of the work that we need to invest in is prevention. And for children and young people, we know they are socialized largely in 2 environments: the home environment and the school environment. If we focus on enhancing those 2 environments, a lot of these challenges that we are seeing with minors accessing alcohol, including the other day we came across a video of some children who were leaving school for the holidays, some 3 young boys, and one of them was completely drunk. So if we address those issues at school level and at family level, a lot of the challenges we are seeing in enforcement will significantly come down.
All right, so that number again to WhatsApp is 01169 28683 01169 Alex, I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
As much as we want to put so much burden and responsibility on government, the police and so on, as Melta, kuna kitu huwa mnafanya to ensure that your members also enforce some of these laws and regulations that are passed by government, by Nakada?
Yes, we do. One of the things we do is, because we work hand in hand with the regulatory authorities, we are able to pass on any updates to our members who are bar, hotel and restaurant owners, we are able to guide them on implementation. We also offer consultation on points that they might have queries on. And whenever they have any issues, we then refer back to the authority, to the regulatory authority, with the queries raised by our members. Then we are able to tell them, look, this is the clarification on that matter. So, for example, currently we are having an issue with the licensing music copyrights. Licensing, it has been back and forth as the CMOs pull and push about who is authorized, who is not. They've gone to court back and forth. So the stay order has been in place. Now that that has finally been resolved, so to speak, we now have guidance on who is to be paid. So in those scenarios, we are then able to go back to our members and tell them, hold all payments, because even the previous people are asking you to make payments. So you tell them, hold that payment, do not make, because these guys are still in court. So once it is resolved, then you're able to go back and tell them, look, it has been finalized, this is the way forward. So we play a big role towards ensuring that, so we are more or less the mediator between the regulatory authorities and our members as Melta.
But is there an aspect of also self-regulation?
Yes, there is. Yes,
Yeah,
there is.
so-
Because at the end of the day, all bar, hotel and restaurant owners understand one thing. Your conduct, say for example as regards noise pollution, is going to be a reflection of the entire industry. If one of you is disturbing an entire neighborhood, then the word out there goes, bar owners are creating a nightmare for the residents living next door. So we cannot have that. You or city might have a bar there running that is very polite, you've maintained all ethical attributes towards it. I don't. So that particular point, I'll be messing up your reputation. So you will also tell me, boss, look, shape up or shape out. So in that scenario, we self-regulate.
Because we've also seen county council. I don't know why I call them county council, but tumeona Nairobi, Geoffrey Musiria, he's the CEC. He's been actually in various places. He was in environment. I think right now he's in health or back in environment. But the point is, we've seen him going to places and shutting down bars.
Correct.
In residential areas.
Correct.
Those bars that he has shut down, are they part of your membership? Or those are rogue elements?
Well, as with every family, there's always the black sheep. And every once in a while, you'll find someone who has an event. And here's the other thing that we need to understand. As much as sometimes we try to push, and this is not to lay blame on anybody, the crowd energy might induce whoever is playing the music to push more. You see, you feed off the crowd energy.
Yes.
Right? So sometimes you might go overboard. That has happened, right? Sometimes without...
Alex,
yes.
you know, what you're saying makes perfect sense and it's logical.
Yes.
But this is not to say that you are wrong.
Yes.
But it's a lazy approach to a problem.
Correct.
If you have music and it's something that you feel you need and you are in an environment where you are, say, around an estate, you can invest in a music system that ensures that the music doesn't travel out of that particular environment without even this necessity of soundproofing. Such equipment exists.
True.
But when you have somebody who has equipment that, my friend, you can hear it from wherever you are, that person should not only be censured. Probably the education that members need to understand about the business that they are in. You're supposed to be entertaining the people who are within there, not the ones who are outside. Now, the same thing applies with this discussion we're having, because everything we're saying, if you look at the real problem, it's outside your purview. It's completely outside your purview, and there's very little you can do to control it. Why am I saying this? The examples that people follow and which cascade down to the point where now we're talking about law enforcement officers seeking to sell intimidation and inconvenience at a certain price for you, where do you think it comes from? It doesn't come from them. They're not trained to do that. It's something they learn after, now once they're out in the field.
Correct.
Okay? Where do you think they acquire this habit? From the people they find there, yes. Where do they acquire it from? I'm simply saying this. I am laying this thing squarely at the feet of the people we see the most and the people we rely on the most. One, to create our laws, and also to set the example of how these laws should be adhered to. When they don't, and every other day, whether it's the Auditor General's report or it is court cases, we find these people who hold high office and are considered to be the people who should guide and lead. See, guide and lead also goes with examples, not what you say. Then they help entrench the rot. So when individuals like yourselves come along, You are doing what you can. For instance, how do you control the planning of the city so that these things are taken care of in the planning? Because if it is enforced at that level, your problems will be reduced.
Very true.
But that doesn't happen. Okay? You know what the law is. Somebody will do what Kenyans do and say, how much does it cost to contravene this law? And you're given a price, and that's it. It is the same mindset that brings about this huge building we see collapsing. Somebody decides to take a shortcut, and the consequences are dire. Same. You talk about carnage on the roads. You're told this matatu had more people than it should. All these things boil down to the same thing. Now, it doesn't mean one stops making the effort. One must make the effort, but one must also address the problem and where it comes from. Because these are things that, if they were sorted out, both in Akada and the institution that you manage, believe me, the environment which they're functioning would be a lot easier and simpler than it is currently.
True.
Because you're fighting on too many fronts.
All right. Someone is asking, what's the position of the traditional African beverages, stroke drinks like mnazi, changa, I think in karobu, the traditional ones. And you mentioned something earlier on, but for the sake of that listener who's perhaps joining us right now, you have said that government is trying to empower local breweries to come up with our traditional brews. So maybe you can just either enhance that, add on to what you said earlier on, or actually just add on what you said.
So that's actually one of the policy actions in the in the new policy, that government will encourage good manufacturing practices. Again, in line with the 2010 ADCA, Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, that provided that...
You've called it ADCA?
ADCA, Alcoholic Drinks Control Act.
Okay.
Famously known as the Motutho Law. So the law provided that traditional brews are legal, provided they are produced within prescribed standards. So I gave the example of changa. The Kenya Bureau of Standards has provided a standard for production of changa, and so a manufacturer can apply for the same, invite KRA ourselves, public health, KEBS themselves for inspection. And as I shared, we have a number of manufacturers in Western Kenya that have that are manufacturing changa. Of course, the brand name is not changa,
but we know the drink is changa.
Is changa. Yeah. So even for other traditional brews, there are mechanisms to produce the same, though people seem to lean more towards abusing those opportunities rather than ensuring that they are produced within the prescribed standards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is well understood, and I hope you've gotten it as well. So let's turn the tables again, still on you.
Yes.
Have we seen anyone get banned or prosecuted through the efforts of Melta? Mnasema this is one of ours, na amekosea na amefanya, because we see that in other countries.
Yes.
Where, and even in our own industry, for example, here in Kenya we have the Media Council of Kenya, Media Association Owners of Kenya, so the Kenya Union of Journalists, and they will always once in a while call out someone within the industry that they feel is not performing well or is going against the morals and the norms set out in the standards of that particular industry. So in terms of Melta,
yes,
kuna wakati mumesema kuna liquor store mlienda muka raid huko maybe Muthurwa or Ngando or Mlolongo.
We have done that. What we do is, whenever we find an errant member,
yes,
we are able to have a sit down and discuss about the modalities of self-regulation. Because at the end of the day, like I said, one member messing up paints the rest of us in the same light. So those are things that we handle internally, and we make sure and we do a follow-up. Not only do they stop what they were doing, but we observe after that to see that they have now complied within what is stipulated.
But no one has been prosecuted?
No prosecution. But we have had members who we've had to have a sit down so that they get back in line.
Yeah.
And it has proved to be very effective, without having to go there.
Especially in places that are notorious for selling alcohol
especially
to
those
children.
Yes, not even selling alcohol to children, operating outside the prescribed hours mainly. That has always been the biggest issue, because you find wines and spirits, they are not allowed to have sitting space outside, right? But then you find somebody has opened a small wines and spirits, they put 5 benches. So you're competing with a bar that is next to you. It's supposed to be a place you walk in, you buy your mzinga, and
No,
you go
no,
and drink it wherever you
chomoka.
drink. But the minute I put 3 benches outside my wine and spirits,
That's a bar.
essentially that's a bar.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing, I'm competing with a guy next door who's paying higher taxes and higher license fees and has a higher staff cost.
But Alex, you know the history of this. Remember in the olden days when you were much younger, there was something called Masandukuni.
Yes.
It was essentially that. I mean, it's
It
not
was.
established as a bar.
Yes.
But if you buy the drink, there's a stool, there's a bench.
Now comes the problem.
Yes.
The laws were changed to allow favorable competition, so to speak. Right? So that you, in your wines and spirits, you're able to make your sales to the correct target market as I in the bar next door. So there was that demarcation, because there was also the argument that why am I paying license fees of, let's say for example, 200,000,
Yes.
you're paying license fees of 30,000,
Yes.
and we are doing the same thing.
Yes.
So really, what is the difference? My overheads, I have 10 staff members. I have invested in this large
You have
building.
3.
Yeah, you have. If actually, Wines and Spirits usually has one guy, the beautiful lady behind the counter, or the guy selling from the counter.
They have to be good looking. It helps.
Thoroughly. So I think those are the issues that are there. So in terms of self-regulation, we have worked very hard to make sure that our members comply.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, when they do not, then we all look bad. And then when we have our meeting with NACADA, it's a very difficult position, because NACADA is able to tell us, look, you're a CMO. Why is it that now your members are not complying?
What's a CMO?
A collective management organization. So basically, we are a body that then
The umbrella
body. Yes. So why are your members not doing what we agreed on? At our last meeting, we said we are going to have an amicable discussion, and we are going to treat each other as adults, so to speak. But now you're going outside there. Yeah, you're carrying us pumpkin. So
But let me ask,
Yes.
you know, the self-regulation,
Yes.
it's a discussion that cuts across very many stratas. Yes, exactly. No.
True.
So, like in your case, what's the standard for self-regulation? At what point do you feel that you've met at least the bare minimum of self-regulation?
as an F&B outlet, food and beverage outlet,
Yes.
selling alcohol and whatever, one, we need to meet all the health codes. We need to employ staff who have the correct documentation, mainly food handler certificates and skill sets that are in line. Customer service has to be on point. Apart from that, now from us as a management perspective, we need to make sure that we are providing our staff with access to proper working environment, which is safety and health standards. We need to meet all the regulatory requirements, right, which are the statutories and everything. So once we achieve that, and then we follow the laid down laws and stipulations, then we have achieved an environment which is suitable to run our businesses. That is the thing that we hold.
So that's the threshold you asked.
That is the threshold.
Yes. Now comes the real question.
Yes.
How do you ensure that self-regulation actually works? You've understood what you need to do. How do you ensure that it actually works?
We observe customer feedback from all our member establishments. Because
Do you encourage customer feedback?
Yes, we do.
How do you encourage it?
Basically, we collect a lot of feedback. Nowadays, the advantages with the advent of social media as a prime medium, it's easy to find an establishment that has repeated negative feedback from the customer. So nowadays it has become much easier, rather than in the old days when you'd have to wait sanduku la posta get to you and then So I think now we are able to observe that, and whenever we notice a trend, we are then able to have a discussion one-on-one with our member and tell them, look, you need to shape up. These are the issues that have been raised. And that way you find a lot of members also knowing that are now able to self-regulate without having to be told. Because again, it affects your business. Because if you lose your customers, like let me give you a very simple fact. As an establishment, if you have dirty ladies' toilets, washrooms, your bar will be empty. You can have horrible gents,
but for ladies is a no.
It will determine, because you will walk in with the lady you're with into the establishment. She will walk to the washroom, come and tell you 20. You're with your boys, you're very comfortable. She'll tell you, let's go. You're like, but I've just ordered a drink, let's go. And because you know your future is hinged to that conversation, you will wake up and go. So very small factors, which is why you find it is very important, because of the high costs that you put into your establishment. And like before, when you had Afro Unity, which was a room, they had the owner's old TV set in one corner. I can already see it. Days of Boom.
Yeah.
And Mabati sits all around. I am glad to see City has remembered.
I think he was a member there.
Bas, everyone was. From Maine, everyone was.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
sorry. So basically now your investment is crazy. Right? So you look at any establishment you walk into nowadays, you walk in and you're like, wow, you already start doing the 1 + 1 in your head.
Yes.
So you cannot afford to let that investment go to the dogs because of bad policies.
Good morning, Radio Generation. Very insightful discussion this morning. Salimia Alex, so he knows I am tuned in. Otherwise, I will get in trouble later. This is Sylvia. Sijui kama unajua Sylvia, lakini Sylvia amekusalimia.
Mwambie nimemsalimia sana.
Amekusikia. Adrian, tuongee juu ya shisha kidogo.
Yes.
Shisha has been a very dodgy issue in this country. Where are we as far as shisha ban is concerned? There's a time in later kukona shisha ban.
Can we throw in vaping as well?
Vaping, yes. Mimi kuna mahali nilienda juzi tu, sitasema ni wapi, lakini nilipata shisha kwa meza zote. So I don't know, are we still banning shisha ama hiyo story ilienda tu hivyo na upepo?
I have to ask.
Yes.
I have heard of shisha. I've even seen. What is it exactly?
So to begin with, shisha is very legal. City, I'll get to your question.
Right.
Because I also want to tie it to feedback from the regulator.
Yes.
One of the challenges that we see from your members is actually the sale of shisha. And you know, in the advent of social media, we get to see the glamorous images on Instagram. And I don't want to share, but some of the ways that we get to know where to go for enforcement is actually just through social media, because as they're smoking it, they're posting it, either on TikTok, on Facebook, etc. So shisha is illegal.
Illegal?
It is illegal in Kenya. And for health reasons. From, again, you know, a lot of the work that we do is informed by evidence and science. So from a few samples that were collected a few years ago, we tested positive for cannabis and other narcotics
in shisha.
That is actually what informed the Ministry of Health to pursue the decision to make it illegal. Additionally, 1 hour of smoking shisha is equivalent to smoking 100 cigarette sticks.
What?
Yes.
1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour of smoking
shisha
is equivalent to smoking
100
sticks of cigarettes.
Five packets. Those are 5 packets.
Yes.
Yeah. So it looks glamorous because it's flavored. You have all these flavors, pineapple and all that.
And it's very smoky.
But remember, we also have the challenges around second-hand smoking. As you're smoking,
your neighbor is also
smoking.
Is
also smoking. Yeah. So it was easier for government to just completely ban it all together.
Okay.
In addition to the new tobacco products that City has mentioned, vape, nicotine pouches, that's also another area of concern for government, especially when it comes to minors. Children as young as the tobacco initiation age in Kenya is 6 years. Yeah, children are starting to use tobacco as early as 6 years. And most of the times, it's the vapes, the e-cigarettes, and the nicotine pouches. And especially now with the, you know, we did an amazing job in 2007 as a country when we enacted the Tobacco Control Act, because one of the things that law has done has helped to reduce the number of people who are smoking cigarettes. Actually, if you look at our data, the burden of the people who are smoking cigarettes are 36 years and above. Cigarettes, the traditional cigarette stick.
Yes.
But now for younger people, because they didn't grow up being exposed to tobacco advertisements. I can't remember the last time you watched or you came across a tobacco
haven't seen
advertisement.
I haven't seen.
Since 2007, those things were outlawed in our country.
Yes.
So now the industry renovated and now have introduced the new tobacco products. Vape. So vape is still legal. Nicotine pouches, though there was a directive that was issued yesterday by the Cabinet Secretary Health banning the importation of tobacco products into the country until that mess has been sorted out, because the vapes, for example, the nicotine pouches,
I thought that was affecting China only, importation from China.
It was from China.
Yes.
But the challenge that we have with this importation is they do not come with the graphic health warnings. Yeah. So each of these products needs to have a warning that to show you that if you consume these products, just like with alcohol, this is likely to happen.
Ile picha inakuwa na lungs mzuri na lungs mbaya.
Okay. There are quite a number, around over 10 graphic health warnings.
Yeah, there's one that has a coffin.
Yes.
Have you seen that one for the coffee?
Yes.
It's counterproductive. It was tried with HIV and AIDS. Because the moment you greet someone with the prospect of death, then they simply figure, okay, if I'm going to die, then I will die.
I know smokers who've died from a road accident.
Yeah.
You can't attribute their death to smoking.
But we get the message. We get the message now.
We're actually pushing for plain packaging. Some developed countries have moved away from even the graphic health warnings as it is sharing.
So
Like
it's just
Australia,
a white
it's
paper.
plain packaging, green. Green.
Regardless of the manufacturer.
Yeah. Plain packaging is where the world is moving to for tobacco products. So the vapes, the new tobacco products are a serious problem, especially among young people. University students are using them a lot. We see that students in private universities actually using them more than those in public universities.
I think it's a financial issue.
It's accessibility to disposable income.
Correct.
And also now parental supervision, which is a glaring gap.
You know, there's something that is often underestimated, and it is something that is attributed to youth: peer pressure. Peer pressure cuts across all ages.
Yes.
You see, as you talk about cigarettes, I was thinking of how cigarettes were advertised when I was a young man.
Marlboro.
Aspen.
And you wondered what it is with cigarettes. There was this pretty lady, skimpily dressed, sitting on the hood of a really fancy looking car.
Corvette.
Yes, and you're thinking, okay, the cigarette. The point is, most advertising, if not literally all, target the youth.
Correct.
And children.
Yes. An older person has already gone through this process, and they know what they want and what they don't want. But the point that I don't want us to depart from is the one that I tried to make earlier. There are things you actually cannot fight. For instance, the issue of peer pressure. But you can steer the direction. And that's where the value system comes in. And that's where even our schooling system comes in and what we're taught. Have you ever wondered why it is your child starts going to school and what the teacher has said is sacrosanct? Even you, the parent, will be defied.
It's low.
Teacher
said. Have you ever wondered why? What is it that teachers do, or what is it that the students or that young learner sees and understands? Or even when you're older, why do you even remember your teachers, whether it's secondary school, even university? There are people you remember, some for good, some for bad, but you remember. What is it about them?
True. I think it's their impartation of the information such that it touched you at a point of delivery. You got to internalize the information they give. It was
there
not
was
just
an impact.
There was an impact.
Oh, there is.
Yes.
They open the world to you, and you realize, my goodness, because in the absence of that, you didn't know what you now know.
True.
And you keep knowing more, and you feel, my goodness,
who is this person?
Yes, but you see, what we're doing now is giving it life and giving it a 3D. But it happens all the time. Now, how then is that near perfect example eroded over time? When what is negative is the one which now has the same effect.
So there's another listener here. Na ameniuliza Mbuvi, I hope Radio Generation is a safe space, because I have a question for Alex. Does he feel like sometimes Nakada is unfair?
From a policy perspective, yes. For example, the current information out there, just as it is, as received by the public, without having being an insider looking out, is that all that is pushed down to us. You want us to do the following without participation. This is what you've said. You expect us to follow it to a T without questioning. So from that perspective, yes. But now comes the other part where you understand that these are suggestions, right? Subject to implementation. So
are they also subject to review?
To review, yes. Once public participation is done. But that said, some of the things that are there are already in effect. But a lot of the suggestions made right now would outrightly, like I said, kill thousands of jobs, which is our biggest problem. But once it is put to public participation, then everything should be taken into consideration, and the end result will not be what we are seeing out in the public now. It will be a document that is more, for lack of a better term, sober. yes, and then does not lead to job losses, does not have the negative effect that we, as at right now, would espouse with this being implemented as it is.
Adrian, do we have places around the world where such policies have actually worked? They're implemented. For example, the legal drinking age. I think in the US it's 21 also. And then hii mambo yote hawezi nunua pombe kwa supermarket, hawezi nunua pombe kwa university and so on and so forth. Did we benchmark this from somewhere?
Yes, and just to correct Alex, these are not suggestions. These are policy actions. This is a policy that has been approved by cabinet. So at the point of implementation, it may be modified. For example, just to give you an example, when we had these conversations with residents in Nakuru County, one of the areas that we discussed with them was the minimum distance that has been set between a learning institution and an outlet selling alcohol. So the law provides 300 meters. Nakuru pushed it to 500 meters. You know, and that's because what the national government has set as the minimum, they felt might not have been adequate for them, depending on the...
If I may interject.
Yeah.
Moi Avenue Primary School is on Moi Avenue itself.
Yes.
Right? Less than 100 meters, there are several bars.
In front of it.
In front of it, yeah. Pale mbele. As you go towards the archives. Yes, there are several bars.
Na pia side ya nyuma.
Na pia side ya nyuma. So, how do we then implement the closure of all of this while at the same time mitigating the job losses that will be occasioned by that? Because those are things that we need to take into consideration.
And that's just one. That is just one school.
One school. Yeah. Because if you look at Jamu, in fact, let's go to Jamu. Jamu High, right in front of Jamu High. Right in front. By the way, in fact, like all you need to do is cross the road.
They're like 6 liquor stores.
Now leave alone even more avenue.
And a bar. I think two clubs actually.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
Ujaona on the other side.
Wacha sasa hata hujavuka pande ya Fig Tree, which is now like hata hujaingia kwa hizo barabara hizo chuo hapo. Directly in front, Jamu is on that side of the studio. The bars are on this side of this because it's a single lane. It's a 2-lane. Now, what are we saying? Do we close all of those? Behind that, there's a myriad of other bars all the way down.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
When you have laws such as these, is there an opportunity for negotiation? I'm going to explain what I mean by negotiation. That the closure comes about when you don't adhere to certain things. For instance, if you're around a school like that, no sale of alcohol until 6. I'm giving an example. Why? That's school time. Okay. So the impact that we're talking about presupposes that alcohol will be sold when children are around and about school. But if you're going to have an establishment near school, you're told this is what you must do, and if you don't, then you'll be shut.
Yeah.
Okay. Is such is such a discussion possible?
It's actually there within the act that in the event that we have those kinds of establishments, number one, the operating hours for a bar is from 5 p.m.
5?
Yes. Yeah. So that means that children, if it's a day school.
What about that rule about alcohol and food?
So that's another area of abuse that we hope the industry could have helped us address, because again, if you remember during the COVID period, the CS Health, Mutahi Kagwe, observed that one of the areas of abuse at that particular time was someone was ordering 2 sausages and a whole crate of beer.
Yes.
Yeah. Or when we go in for enforcement, they're already drinking at 2 p.m. or even earlier than that. But then when you ask them what is the food, they give you a receipt and they tell you nyama inafanya nini. But when you come back again, nyama bado inafanya nini. So the bar and restaurant license, for example, has been a contentious license for us, and so the policy has provided guidance. That's actually one of the licenses that we want to review.
Yeah.
Even for county governments that provide this license, some of them.
But why don't you review the license? Yeah, there's a reason why I'm asking this. When you travel out of this country and go to some of those countries referred to as developed, that barman is the enforcement agent. Not no. It's the barman.
Yes.
And those who work there.
Yeah.
And you're told we will not serve. You're informed. How do we get to train his members, or how do you ensure that your members are the ones who enforce? Because If they enforced it, it would be enforced.
Yeah.
Alex, actually, on that particular point,
Yes.
there's a time Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, when he was at there's something he had come up with. I'm trying to remember this thing, whereby he started an award ceremony for musicians and content creators who are producing clean content. So you do not have nudity in your music, you don't have alcohol in your music, you're doing clean content. Now kuna watu walikuwa na receive awards in regards to that. Perhaps you also need now to start considering awards for your bars and restaurants, people in your establishment, such that tunataka kusema hii hoteli inajulikana kama CT Bar and Restaurant, they are the best in their area, or in 2025.
Yes.
No alcohol, whatever was sold to people under 18, they did their due diligence in terms of just ensuring noise, environment, whatever is taken care of, and so on and so forth. Maybe that's something that
actually that's something we have in the pipeline.
Oh, you already?
Yes,
so it's yet to happen.
Yes, it is yet to
Nataka
happen.
hizo
But
royalties.
we are trying to make sure that that is effected, to take note of our members who are complying with everything that is there, and who are also leading by example.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's important to recognize everyone who is doing a good job.
But remember that what I mentioned earlier about our love for disregarding the law. What did COVID tell us? The place is shut when you enter.
The back door.
Now you see, again, that bar wouldn't be opened if the clientele were not interested in going to it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Na busy mtu wa biashara anaacha pesa yeye.
No, but that's where we're wrong. You see, that attitude guarantees that it doesn't matter how many laws we create and amend. It's the attitude that is the problem, not the laws. It's good to have these amendments, but let me ask you: are you telling me if the people in his organization simply did what they're supposed to do, Nakare would have a much easier time?
Yeah,
This
of course they
discussion
would.
would be very different.
True.
And even those fellows who park that vehicle to come and enforce inconvenience, even they would not have room, because what would they be enforcing? It's already enforced.
Yeah, and I agree with him, because and there's something you asked earlier on tukianza kipindi ukasema, for example, hii maneno ya bar and restaurant, umekuja city alikupata already umefungua your wines and spirits pale bar. Then now city amekuja ameamua kujenga shule. So what happens? And I don't think we got an answer in regards to that. For example, we have on Langata Road we have a hotel, Weston, inauza pombe huko ndani, na nyuma yao kuna Langata Primary. So now what happens in that situation? Does Langata Primary move or does Weston move? You know, so how do you work through those modalities?
So the law provides for mechanisms like what CT shared, including in such a situation, a perimeter wall needs to be set up so that children cannot be able to access the facility, and including now advertising, providing advertising and brand endorsement within that wall for particular alcoholic brands. So for example, outside of any school, as a child is coming into school, they see the poster of a particular brand, that is a form of advertising. So the law provides that such mechanisms need to be put in place. And the reason why I can't give you an answer what will happen in the event that this facility is next to a school, because it's contextual specific. So for example, licenses issued to outlets are not issued for 3 years. It's reviewed annually. And in some communities they feel, in our area we have 1,000 outlets, can we reduce this maybe to 500? And now the licensing committee has to sit down and agree. Yes, because a license is not in perpetuity. Every year you come back, you renew, you pay the license fees. If there are any concerns from the regulators, the Ministry of Health, ourselves, county government, maybe the police, we give that feedback to the licensing committee, and a decision is made based on the information that has been availed.
Okay, all right. Because I'm just thinking of because it's an issue, and I'm certain if we do start, and mtajipata kwa koti na a lot of cases, and some of these things we know they drag forever, and most of the times I find that the businesses are the ones that actually suffer, because once nyinyi mmefunga, mmekuja na bavifuli, mmefunga. Mimi niko kotini spending money every single day. fighting for probably a lost cause. So I hope that will be Will be in discussion.
Will be in discussion, but
Yeah.
just going back to physical planning,
Right.
by the time the Ministry of Education is even giving you that permit to operate a school, they will have a look at the environment. And if they tell you, unfortunately, this is within an industrial area, they will not allow for that school to be set up. So physical planning, for example, is one of the critical members of the licensing committee, because they also have a look at what are the other social institutions around the facility that is being recommended for setting up.
Yeah. But do they really come and check?
That's what I was about to raise. I think that's one of the other things
Yes.
that is drops the ball. Because, like you pointed out from a regulatory perspective, everyone is supposed to play their role. So if they don't, then already they have dropped the ball. Not through the fault of NACADA, not through our fault as our members, but because the license has been approved for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But consider, I mean, in an earlier time, I remember,
Yes.
there were schools that were right in the middle of town. Private schools. Everything is happening down here. You have to climb the stairs to go to that school.
Yes.
And it's a school.
So by Kochini.
Near bus station.
Kila
I'm an alumni of Moy Avenue. I know them all.
Yeah.
Now, one could argue there were fewer vehicles, fewer this, whatever it is, but we have an example of what happened then, and our awareness, what we have now, wasn't what we had then. It was considered, it's a school, it's in the middle of town, not.
Yeah.
And the reason was we didn't have other discussions around alcohol abuse and all these things around it. It was a place where people went to school because, one, it was available and it gave you an opportunity to go to school.
Yeah.
However, we are talking of alcohol. Let's move away from alcohol just for exactly 1 minute and look at what it is that Kenya Medical and Dental Practitioners Board does.
Yeah.
Okay? You hear some pharmacy has been shut down, some so-called hospital has been shut down.
A doctor has been arrested.
The arrest, there are very few. The point is this. How do you get to a point when you are the one who actually licensed it? In the first place, policing never works because you can't police everywhere. Investing in ensuring that the people who work there are the ones who adhere to the law. This really is my point. Whether it is bar and restaurants, whether it is in the medical fraternity. So if the people who work there don't have to wait for someone to come and police them, then this will be having a completely different discussion. And the rogue elements will be clear because they're always rogue elements. But in our case, rogue elements seem to be very many. Because every time someone is shut down, they say, but what about so-and-so?
This president.
Yes, meaning they're aware so-and-so is doing it, but what about so-and-so? Remember, yesterday we were talking about the issue of people dying in hospitals.
Yes.
And the argument was there's a hospital that was shut down. Well, what is it called again?
Chiromo.
And I said, but wait, 2 people died at Kenyatta. Why didn't they shut Kenyatta down?
True.
I mean, if that is the standard. Now, it is subject to debate. You raised the question of, but Kenyatta has very many people. I said, no. The principle. This lady died in this hospital. Let's isolate that case and look at it and ask what happened and isolate, ring-fence the people who are involved in it. That hospital has had very many patients, probably still had patients, so you want to affect all these people because of this one incident. Now, that is what happens when you have this muddled idea of how it is enforcement should work, or who have people who for their own reasons don't have clarity, because now you suddenly realize we're talking about double standards here. Why is that wines and spirits shut down and not this one? When talk about illicit brew, why is it that we are drinking fuel as opposed to drinking alcohol, and then someone is allowing it to be sold?
It takes you back to the days of hata mkizima stima bado tutakunywa. Macho imeenda.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair and valid point.
It is. There needs to be a uniform application across the board. Unfortunately, that is not happening for one reason or the other, which brings a problem both from a regulatory perspective as well as from a membership perspective. Because I will point out, how come you're touching me and you're not touching him? And CT is also doing the same thing.
But his establishment is bigger.
Yes.
So his crime is even bigger. But no one is talking to him.
And I hope we'll get to that level of discipline whereby we self-regulate. We don't have to wait for NACADA or the National Police Service.
Correct.
I was in the States, some place in Boston where there was a club. That club wasn't allowed to operate past 2 a.m. And I can assure you, at 1, the DJ started making that last call for alcohol, and by 1:30, the lights were back on, because kawaida nightclubs usually dark.
It's very important.
By 1:30 stima zimewaka.
Look at Carnival back in the day.
Imezimwa. So, and by 2 o'clock, it was about 1:50 something. The bartender was like, guys, you need to leave, I need to lock up. And I hope we shall get to that point whereby we don't have to wait for cops. Tuna dim lights na tunafunga milango, reduce the volume, lakini endeleeni kukaa, lakini msipige kelele.
What is that thing called? Aluta.
Aluta. Such that if my license says I shut down at 10, my friend at 10.
If you're not a nightclub, you should shut down at the prescribed time.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, as the owner of that establishment, I don't have to wait for Kanjo or the police to come and arrest me nianze kuwapatia za macho. Like, we do it because ni sheria. Tomorrow come, we shall do this again. Yeah,
true.
So I hope, I don't know, do you think
it's actually
we'll get there?
Again, I said 105 policy actions, so
Yes.
that's actually one of them where we talk about server responsibility to address such issues, including if by a certain drink you can tell this person is not going to be able to drive, we have a conversation about, can we get for you a taxi? Because if you continue drinking this way, and by now you're already drunk and you're about to get into your vehicle, we know what is going to happen once you get to the road. So capacity building for members of Balita is a conversation that we want to have, so that we can tell if by a certain drink someone is already inebriated, it's just time to call it quits.
On that, as Melta, one of the things we have done is we have gone into discussions with taxi drivers,
yes,
who are positioned at our establishments, to enable our customers have access to a taxi. We have gone as far as to put flyers on the tables and to inform them that taxis are available. It's a conversation that we have with our members at Melta, because we need you tomorrow. And you will not be there tomorrow if we are attending your funeral, because you drove drunk and crashed into a pillar. So those are some of the things that we do, because like I said, NACADA is not an adversary, right? They provide policy that we implement, right, while at the same time making sure our business members are in a good place and our customers.
Perhaps you also need to consider not having parking lots.
Well, that is the equivalent of saying, because I don't want you to come and drop in my place, I'll lock the toilets.
You know this man here.
City wants to.
No, listen, and you know where my mind went. Many people who are in a bar are beer drinkers. When you drink beer, you're going to go to
the loo.
So it's like saying, make sure there is no loo, so that you only limit yourself
to one beer.
How is that going to work?
Or make, because you're not supposed to use a phone at a petrol station, there should be no payment by M-Pesa.
I assure you, if you have no loo, you know what drinkers will do?
No, I said parking lot.
They will pee on your wall.
Yes. But I was just saying, to ensure that I don't come with my vehicle, like I literally have to use a taxi.
Okay, what if my argument is, I am coming to establishment because you have a restaurant, I am coming to have lunch at your restaurant. So where do you expect me to park?
Okay.
You see,
I get your
it's
point.
a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So as much as we would want to say that, that is that classic case of stitching the Kirea to stop diarrhea. For lack of a better French term.
Perhaps if we stop having parking lots, watu wataacha kwenda na magari yao.
Sasa that is the equivalent of regulating morality in a hotel.
Yes.
By eliminating the bed to stop promiscuity.
There are people who say, if you have to come to my hotel, come with your marriage certificate. Prove.
There are two hotels that do that. That is true.
Angalia City.
one in Nakuru
and one in Kisii. Or Nakuru. One in Kisii. Yes.
Yeah. So as we conclude our
the city is not convinced about that.
City, are you planning to go anywhere with someone who's not your wife?
You know, my friend, don't assume that I do the things you do.
Okay. I have stopped assuming.
Today being a Friday.
Yeah. So going forward, tunaona nini kikifanyika in terms of those policies that we saw, in terms of just ndio what Kenya wasikuwe confused, and of course so that the police or anyone else doesn't take advantage, because we know these are opportunities to kukulia. Hata NTSA wakiweka roadblocks za alcohol tunajuanga tu for sure. Ndio nimelewa, lakini ninajua huyu karao nikimuona nitapita. Yes. So in terms of implementation and enforcement, what are we expecting going forward?
So we are now at the implementation stage of the policy. But a lot of it has to do with communication. To clarify some of the issues, and our CEO issued a statement the day before yesterday on the way forward.
Okay.
And we will have very many caucus engagements with industry, content creators and other regulators on the provisions of the policy and the next steps. So as we unbundle the provisions of the policy, we will communicate to the public and the relevant stakeholders on what is coming up next. But the immediate action for us is to engage with industry stakeholders on the areas that affect them, and also discuss with different stakeholders on how best to roll out, including identifying resources for implementing this document. As I indicated, this was a Vision 2030 aspiration. We are 5 years to the attainment, to the completion of the vision. And as we are taking stock of how far we've come as a country, at least we have a national policy in place. So after the next 5 years, the document will be up for review. But in the meantime, we now embark on implementation and getting the support of different stakeholders towards implementation of the same.
All right. Yeah. Melta, is it Melta or Malita?
Melta.
It's Melta.
Melta.
All right. So as Melta, mnaangazia wapi sasa going forward in terms of this policy?
We will engage continuously, as we have always done. We want to make sure that we safeguard the needs of our members, the needs of our consumers and our customers, because they are our bread and butter, while at the same time following laid down policy and laws.
Okay.
But again, we also push for policies that are effective and that work towards the well-being of everybody. Okay. Because we don't have a situation where taxation goes down, our customers are unhappy, businesses are closing, there's a lot of job losses. So those are our key areas.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming through. That was Adrian Jenga, Senior Policy and Planning Officer at NACADA. And of course, the last voice you heard there was that of Alex Matindi, Secretary General of Melta, that is Medium and Small Liquor Traders Association. From myself and City Muga, tunasema see you on Monday, bright and early.
And sober.
And sober, of course. Yeah, we need them on Monday, eh?
Yes, definitely.
Sawa. See you guys. But Brian Odor na Rani and Mano wamejipanga pale kwa barabara. They're definitely coming through.
Radio generation, the sound.